Hey, no, you're good, Mr. Morris. Get comfortable. Hey, ladies and gentlemen. First, my name is Brian Heverly. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the city manager here for the city of Sallisaw. I want to thank you all for coming out. And anybody have any opening questions, comments, or we'll just jump right into this? Jump right into it. Okay. All right. I do want to offer tonight afterwards, if you've got a specific question about something specific on your bill or your usage, I don't want to talk about it here in front of everybody. We're more than I can do that if you want to, but I'm not going to bring it up in front of everybody. See me back here where Poncho is. I've got my laptop. We can look at your bill, look at your usage, and really what I want to do, and we'll talk about it later, is I can show you what you what you will be able to see, hopefully, what you will be able to see once we get a customer portal up and running and see your usage for both water and electricity by the hour, okay? Which is something that the new meters allow us to see. But again, for whatever reason, that was not part of the initial plan, not part of, and the AMI, the new meters, that's been about 3 years running. As far as a plan, as far as getting those into the ground or on the side of the homes, it's been about a 3-year plan. So wasn't part of it. Don't know why they didn't do it to begin with, but the goal is to do it this year. We've actually got a meeting sometime here in the next 2 weeks for a couple of contractors, for a couple of apps that'll be able to access that information and get it out to you all as well. I know I came from Durant, so OG&E customers can absolutely go on to OG&E's website, enter their information and see their usage. So that's the intent. Okay, I can see it because I've got access to the census, who's the manufacturer of the meters. My CSRs can see it, but it's not publicly available because we don't have the app to let you have access to it. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about city budgeting. And if you have any questions as we go along, please ask. We're going to talk about city budgeting. We're going to discuss the how and the why we got where we are. We'll talk about the rate study. There's a lot of information out there about the rate study. Some of it's accurate, some of it's not so accurate. We'll talk about that. I will show you the rate study. Excuse me, not the rate study itself. I'll show you the resolutions specifically. Talk about the resolutions, where we go from here, some of the options that we're looking at, that the city's looking at, and then why some of the things that may or may not have been floated out there aren't necessarily their ideas. Why aren't they good ideas? Why aren't they? And they may be the beginning of a good idea, just they're not complete. We'll put it that way. Okay. And then at the end, what I'd love to do is just sit down. I will crack open a marker. I've got butcher board here. I know it's not a butcher board. It's close enough. Work with me. I got some butcher board paper here. I'll be more than happy to take down ideas and let's talk. Let's talk this out. If you got ideas, let's throw them on a butcher board and let's talk about them. Okay. All right. So starting off, before we get into this, numbers having to do with the money tonight, I collected from several different sources. Okay. One is the FY25 audit. All of this is posted online and easily available. The fee schedule that you're going to see are resolutions 2024-09 and 2024-08. Those are the two that were passed back in September of 24 that set the rate schedules that we're going through right now. Okay. GRDA numbers that I'm gonna cite are from the city's December 25 bill. That's what GRDA charged the city and our bill from them. Their fee schedules are found on their website, and we are specifically the category of wholesale full requirements power source. Okay, they've got a couple of different client classifications. That's ours. Okay, we are wholesale power. We don't have any generation. We don't produce our own electricity, so they have different classifications. Finally, a few of the figures are from the FY26 budget. All right, they don't all match, and if you're like me, it drives me up the wall when I sit and stare at an audit and I stare at a budget. I can't make the numbers match. Why don't they match? Why aren't they clean? And the answer is, and the best way I can describe this is, the budget is approved giving funding to specific funds, and then down to the department level, streets, parks, the police department, etc., approving transfers to fund operations and payroll, equipment purchases, etc. The audit considers the net and gross positions of all the assets that the city has, revenues, expenditures to include amortization, asset depreciation, and all with the departments combined in some cases. So the bottom line is, if you think about the routes between here and let's say Oklahoma City, there's a couple of them, right? But you all start here and we all wind up in Oklahoma City. That's the difference between the audits and the budget. The budget is a forecast of how we plan to spend the money. The audit turns around and looks to see how well we actually not only followed it, but how well we tracked the money as we were spending it, okay? It is written by accountants, for accountants. I'm gonna try my best to explain it, okay? So please, I'm asking for a little bit of grace as we sit down and try to explain where all of this is going, okay? And I'm gonna apologize in advance if you feel like I am talking down to you, that is not my intent. I'm telling you in a manner that I have to that I have to look at it and figure it out, because I'm public high school and public college educated, okay? So this is how I wrap my head around it, okay? So we'll start. The chart in the upper left-hand corner, everybody's seen it. It is the chart straight. I recreated it, but it's the chart straight out of the FY25 budget, or excuse me, audit. Okay, the green lines at the bottom, the green and blue lines represent cost versus revenue. This is the business type departments. Again, here is something that I don't quite completely understand. Administration. I don't have a good answer for what is included in administration in the business type departments. Okay. Business type departments make money. That's one way the city generates revenue. The city generates revenue through business type departments, utilities, you can see them all there, and we generate revenue through sales tax. Okay, that's it. The state of Oklahoma is the only state in the nation that property taxes don't go to the community. They don't go to the municipality. All right, here they go to county, they go to the school, okay? They don't come to the city.
Brian, I have a quick question.
Sure.
When you're going to go hopefully the electric bar next.
Yep.
As we discuss electricity and electric costs throughout this discussion tonight, will you clarify as we go what costs are inclusive of the PCA and or exclusive of the PCA?
Yes.
And explain so people want to look at PCA.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you could just right up front tell us what is GRDA charging us on a kilowatt hour basis?
Okay.
Versus what you're charging us on kilowatt hour.
Yep.
What's that difference?
Give me. We will cover that tonight. Give me a couple slides to get there. Okay. Just because I'll piecemeal it if I try to do that the way you ask it. Okay. So let's talk about business. Let's talk about history. The electric department. That's a 31.6% margin between revenues and costs. Okay, and that is only cost and revenues. Okay, when you talk about debt service and all the other stuff that goes into the SMA, when you talk about budget, it doesn't translate cleanly when you look at business type departments in the audit. Okay, so you look at 31.6%. That sounds pretty big. The electric department since 2006 has run about a 30% profit margin, with a peak of 42% in 2020 and a valley of 24% in 2012. A large part of our cost, the blue line, is electricity. We pay about $6 to $7 million a year to GRDA for electricity. And that's the biggest part of that. That's the biggest chunk of that blue line that you see there. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So the business type departments, the totals that you see there since 2019, average about 19.4% margin. Okay, since 2019. In 2025, our margin, the $5.1 million represents a 19.8% margin. Okay, so there's the I'm going to discuss a point. Hey, we're making way more money now than we were in the past. Dollar amount, yes. Margin, no. The margin that we're making is very in line, and in some cases smaller than what we've made in the past. Okay, and I'll show you that on the next slide. Lower right-hand corner is what I like to call the other chart. Again, it's written by accountants for accountants. I don't know why they didn't include this. They just give you a visual of the business type departments that make money, $5.1 million. The non-business type departments, and you can see there, $10.3 million. Sir.
So let me understand. The city is paying GRDA $6 million for their power.
6 to 7. Yes, sir.
Right, and then you're taking that power that you pay $6 million for, and then you're making a profit off of 6 million.
Yes, sir.
That's what you, okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Is that the 31.6 margin that
Yes.
we are making after y'all pay for the power?
Yes, ma'am. So this difference, the difference between the blue line and the green line is about 31.6%. In this year, it's about $4 million. It was, I believe it's closer to 4.1. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was about 8 in expense and about 12 in revenue.
We're paying double in bills and it's 31.6 margin. That's pretty good.
So is it
Okay.
Still too early to clarify the cost in kilowatt hour?
Hang on.
From GR, okay.
Yep. Go, sir.
Sure be good to know.
Yep. You're fine.
If the electric utility is making profit, why are
Why are costs going up? Okay. Good question. Because of the lower right-hand chart. The electric company.
chart is public safety and general government?
Correct. Because the CSRs don't make a dime. The Parks Department doesn't generate any revenue. The police department doesn't generate, it generates a sliver. Okay.
Police department, aren't they paid by a government grant?
No, sir, they're not.
So our electric bills paid for.
So a lot of this money absolutely balances out to the business, the non-business type departments in the government.
But it is paid on their cost
So-
of their vehicles, right?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Paid for their vehicles?
It has paid for the vehicles, yes, ma'am.
And how many vehicles do we have?
That's a police chief question. I don't know right off the top of my head how many vehicles they have. So the general government, if that's what I hear that. The general government is, and this is where I personally have questions, because between public works and general government, here's a for instance, where does the garage fall in? The guys who maintain all of our vehicles and all of our equipment. I don't know if they're in public works or if they're in general government. Public works, the street department doesn't make a dime, but every penny we spend on the street department comes from somewhere. And that's what we do is we balance that money. We make those transfers, and y'all have heard that. We transfer out of the SMA into the general fund to pay for those non-business type departments. Okay? And salaries and benefits comes out of non-business type departments. Sir,
What are the revenue streams you guys have?
sales tax,
So is sales tax captured in the delta between the profit?
most of it. Yes, sir.
So what's the
So sales tax grants, and that's one thing that one thing I was told to point out. Economic development and the airport are lumped together. Why? I don't know. That's one of those questions I can't answer. But every grant in purple that you see there, and we had about $2.5 million in grants, started in economic development. So economic development is a huge source. That's where all of our grant writing is done, and that's where the grant money that the city has comes from, is from economic development. Okay? They don't get credit for it because those grants don't go to them. They're writing them for everybody else almost, but that's where that money goes to, or that's where that starts from. That's where those grants start from.
So compared to,
Hang on, sir, I see you.
compared to grants that we're bringing into the city, what are we paying people to do those grants?
To write the grants.
What it costs?
So just looking at salaries and benefits, ma'am, I've got one grant writer that makes, honestly, I don't want to embarrass myself and say I don't know exactly how much she makes, but I've got one grant writer,
What's the ballpark?
40, 50,000. She is not highly paid. Let me put it that way.
And then her benefit, what's the average?
That would be the total, ma'am. So when you include salaries and benefits, she's probably costing the city between $60,000 and $70,000. Now that number is total. Her particular position is split with one of those grants. So everybody, Sallisaw Now, so she is half city, half Sallisaw Now, as far as her income is paid for. Sir, in the back. Hang on, ma'am. I see you.
So when you have economic development, right?
Mhm.
What the people do, you bring in economics here, like businesses, whatever, they build houses, they buy the electric, they also spend money here in town, which the taxes go back, and all that comes back to the city for revenue, right, with economic development. Is that what you're saying?
So yes, sir, if you're if you are a tax producing business in town, we get a portion of that.
Right, so the more economic development that we have, and the more residents that we have coming to the community, that benefits the city.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now, that also increased costs, okay? Because a police department that can police, and I'll just use the PD as an example. The PD, let's use the fire department as an example. In my own personal humble opinion, we're on borrowed time. We have a volunteer fire department. It is an outstanding volunteer fire department. If you look around the state, how many communities our size still have volunteer fire departments? Not many. And I'll tell you, those dudes right now, but the dudes and dudettes are not cheap. And so a volunteer fire department may be sufficient for us now at 85, 86, 87,000, or excuse me, 8,700. How much longer can we survive on a, and I'll use that in quotes, survive on a volunteer fire department? Is it 10,000? Is it 9,000? I don't have that answer. Ma'am, I saw your hand. I'm sorry.
Two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One is, okay, it looks like on the water too, there's what, 40% in there probably?
On the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. I don't know for certain.
31.6 on the electric.
Mhm.
How do other cities, towns compare to that as far as where their income comes from?
So-
Number one. Number two, is the other side of this, how do Southside compare to other municipalities in the state on how much of their money goes to public safety, general government?
Okay. So
That seems, you're high on one and you're real high on the other. Is that,
So generically, I will say that we're competitive. We're not the most expensive. We don't spend as much money. We don't make as much money, but we also are not the cheapest. So when I did and I'll show you later, when you look at utility rates and costs, we're kind of in the middle for towns our size. Now, it's also hard to say, hey, a town our size, well, what's their median income? What's their square acreage of the town? What's how big is their fill in the blank department? Are they a public power community? There's some communities that don't have that electric line.
okay, and most cities don't have their own electric company. Every individual resident gets it from OG&E or Primacy Electric or something. They don't get it
So
from the city.
there's a good mix across the country, across the state. Yes, ma'am.
I guess I've never lived in a town that did that.
Yes, ma'am. So there are
And in fact, that it's a profit center.
So there are 17 communities that GRDA services that do the exact same thing. They're public power cities. There's organizations and cities across the country that are public power cities.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So they don't produce their own electricity, but they own their own electric company and they resell. They buy electric wholesale and then resell it as a revenue source. Sir,
Yeah, hey,
you're fine, sir.
hey, just out of curiosity, I mean, you just said that we're not the highest, but we're not the lowest. But wouldn't common sense say that if we had lower electric rates, wouldn't that spur and generate business?
Economic development.
Wouldn't that be the economic development to spur? I mean, to be honest.
Potentially.
If I had a multi-million-dollar company, and I'm just saying, and I was looking at other towns right now and saying, hey, man, where do I want to move my company and my business and my employees to? Well, the first thing I'd check would be the infrastructure, the roads, the schools. Are the citizens happy? What are the utility rates? What's going on in that town? Do I want to relocate and spend millions of dollars here for my future employees to be picked off? Well, I mean, I'm just saying, wouldn't lower electric rates spur economic growth? I seen a whole deal in the front page of the newspaper the other day. We passed something to spur economic growth. I mean, wouldn't lower rates do that? Just curious.
Seems like they're using the utilities to make money.
Yes.
That
That's good.
ma'am, but that's by design. When a city, so when you talk about revenue, the utilities, any community that has utilities, use those utilities, whether it's all of these, one of these, two of these, none of these. well, not none, but any community that has utilities use that as a revenue service. We're fortunate that we have a landfill and a sanitation department. There's a lot of communities that don't. We're fortunate that we have water. Go ask anybody outside that buys from rural water how much their rates are. And I will tell you they're almost double what we pay. And I'll tell you there's several rural water districts that we actually sell water to.
Town, and they sure didn't get to Fort Gibson.
I
It's way high.
yes, ma'am. So and sir,
I don't know what their
your economic development question is valid. However, the first thing I would do is I'd compare. Okay, we have 14 cents, give or take, is what per kilowatt hour, including the service charge, is what you pay here.
Right.
Nationwide, it's 17.6.
But we got 3 more rate increases. How's that gonna
Okay.
spur economic growth?
We'll talk. I'm getting to it.
All
Okay.
right. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're fine, sir. You're fine. Yes, ma'am. Hang on, sir.
salary,
Hang on, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am.
salary expenses here in city.
We'll get to it. I got that data point for you, ma'am. Sir. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't hear the first part of it.
If the landfill, the sanitation, the only thing making money in this whole town, water's not, diamond is not, electric ain't. So why are we still, why can't we get an outside person for electric instead of using it in town?
I'll bring that up here in a second, and it'll be glaringly obvious. So here's the bottom line: if you can, the electric company makes $4 million, and we transfer that to pay for that red on the other side. A lot of it.
It's costing us money.
We're spending 6 to make 4.
Yeah.
That- That's not accurate. That's not accurate, sir. I'm sorry, that's not accurate.
Sir, you just said that we spend $6 million to GRDA and we're making $4 million profit.
So we're making 10 million. We spend 6 to make 10.
Right.
Okay, so that's where the $4 million comes from. Yes.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we're making $4 million. This line right here, because you're insinuating that we're losing money. That's not the case. We're making money.
We are.
Public safety alone cost this city $5.1 million.
Why?
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 Sir, so what's the right number? So if we take this $4 million away, we lose the police department and half the fire department. All of it. All of it.
We lose the electric department, get good from here.
Sir,
I have a point.
go ahead, sir.
If public safety is such a deficit, and general government is such a deficit with budgets, how come we don't eliminate some of that deficit?
But from the top.
We have,
Taking it from the people.
if we have 8,000 people in the city limits,
Mhm.
how many cops do we need?
Is
Nothing.
there, what is the salary, what is the highest paid salary that a police officer in this city makes? Not the median, not the new hire, the highest paid.
So a captain that tops out makes over $90,000, about $95,000, give or take. That is not more than Tulsa, sir. No, ma'am, we're not. Go ahead. No, ma'am, we're not.
You know what?
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate and respect the fact that you took the time to put this budget together.
Yes, ma'am.
Just why you made the choices you did. But if you can read the room, we'd like you to take a look at our budgets. Look at our budgets, because they do not include $1,000 payments to the city of Sallisaw on a monthly basis for senior citizens that are on fixed incomes.
Yes, it's
You're hurting the people out of this city that built this city.
Yes.
Offer old people's backs.
Yes.
There's gotta be a better way. There has to be a better way.
Okay, and that's,
Okay, my bill comes in and I take a look at it and I know what my social security check is. I'm not gonna live this month. I don't get to eat this month. I don't get to plug my feeding tube in tonight. I don't get to take my medication because I gotta give it all to the city. That's not okay. I don't care what your budget says. It's what our budget says. And our budget say we cannot do this. We need help. We need our city to have our backs. When's that gonna happen? When's that? That doesn't make a difference.
understand your position, man, you're in the hot seat right now. And man, I appreciate you coming out here doing this, you didn't have to do this, you could have been sitting up there quiet, and I thank you for that. But,
It doesn't matter.
man, I go to Walmart, I go to a tin box, man, you would not believe the people that's come up and told me horror stories about what's going on with this, man, you're bleeding the people dry. You're bleeding them dry, I'm not you personally, but these policies are killing the people.
It's not reality.
How we
It's
gonna
not
get-
realistic.
Yeah, it's not realistic.
You're
It's
killing
wrong.
us. You're breaking us.
It's wrong.
We cannot do this.
This is a small sample of what's gonna be here on the 13th. I'm telling you, man, you would not believe
This
it.
entire city is enraged.
Yes,
And we
it's
still have
wrong.
to pay high rent and mortgages. And it's just, the numbers
I have
don't
one
fit.
more thing to say.
Yes, ma'am.
I called the Salvation Army. You know what they told me? They have paid 172 bills already this year. Our city should be ashamed of that.
Yes,
Our people are going across the state line to get help to pay a utility bill
in Sallisaw.
in Sallisaw. That's not okay.
It's not okay.
So.
It's embarrassing. We don't have
It's not sustainable.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's a financial agony that we're all facing.
Yes, ma'am.
Something needs to be done. We need to stop.
Hey, sir, ma'am, I'm sorry. He,
Where did we come up with enough money to give the chief of police that big a raise? We would hurt him?
so
You don't have nothing
he's actually going to only make 80. So he's only making 80. He will make less than some of his officers make. So that now it was passed for 100. It was passed incorrectly, and we're back to the old salary that the police chief will make. So he's making 80. Ma'am,
I talked to the city manager, and he said that
That's-
we were
that's-
locked into a
that's me.
40-year contract with the GRDA.
35. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm 40,
It's okay.
and I want to know how that's right. That's essentially a monopoly. We have no choice but to.
monopoly. Absolutely.
So our contract with GRDA was signed in 2007. It's a 35-year contract.
Why?
Sir, you're asking the wrong person for that one. So 35 years ago, or it's not 35 years ago, but in 2007, so what is that, 19 years ago?
And
the
GRDA is getting ready to go up, so they're charging us. They're gonna charge us more. Do we have to keep going with them?
So let's just, there, so there are options. I would argue that they are not good options because of the contract. And I can talk to you specifically about that contract if you want to. We have to provide them 2 years notice in the last 10 years of the contract before we can to give them that notice. Anything prior to 10 years, which is 2032, it would be a breach of contract. And that's a significant lawsuit. There's significant money involved with that, penalties, lawyer fees. It would be dramatically expensive. I'm not saying we have to, but I'm saying almost. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'll get to you, ma'am.
Sir, I want a police department. I want a fire department. I don't want bukus of money spent on a skate park that children are not going to use. I do not want money spent on a swim park that is open 3 months out of the year.
Amen.
I want my home protected if it catches fire. I want my street protected by those who swore to protect me.
So let's talk about that because that has been out there.
There's a grant, sorry, again.
It's a bond that was passed I believe it was 5 years ago. It was the bond that was passed to fund the aquatic center that money was also designated to the skate park. So that is not, I'm going to use this term in quotes, please. That is not new money. That is money that you all are already paying as part of your 4 cents of tax that the city gets. That covers the bonds that we passed a while ago.
I understand that, but if we had the foresight of knowing that our volunteer fire department is on the brink of being completely non-existent, why was this passed?
Ma'am, it's not as far as long I'm here. I'm not saying we're getting rid of the fire department. I wouldn't even recommend that.
I mean, I want my fire department.
Yes, ma'am.
I want my police department. Kids can find something to do without without having multi-million-dollar skate parks.
Yes, ma'am. So what I'm saying is that getting rid of the skate park isn't going to change the fire department and the police department and all that stuff. It's do I have any vets, any military vets? It's a different color of money. Have you all heard that phrase before? A different color of money? It's a different color of money that's paying for the skate park and the pool than is paying for public safety.
I understand, but is there any way that the books can be worked?
No, ma'am. So when you pass a bond, it is for a specific issue and it can only be used for those things. So, and that's, yeah. And that was voted on by the people. That bonds are passed by an election. Ma'am? Please don't make me do that, ma'am. I mean, I can get you that answer. I just don't have it off the top of my head. So we have enough money to pay for the skate park. We just passed a resolution to actually spend that money. The decision was made to ensure we had enough money for the aquatic center first and then pay for the skate park. So there is enough money right now to do what we plan to do with the skate park.
And I know that this is probably off, but since we did, the citizens did approve that bond and voted it in, and we had that money, and we changed locations
For what?
from what was the initial, wasn't it supposed to go out of this?
No, ma'am.
complex?
No, ma'am. The aquatic center and the skate park moved from one side of the road to the other. It was at one point in time, it was thought to go over next to the substation that's over there, across the street from the current pool. But what we've done is we've moved that to be south of the pool, south of the pool toward Cherokee.
So we still
Redwood.
have the money
Yes, ma'am.
for the bond.
Yes, ma'am.
Total amount that we started with and what we voted on.
That's come in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There's no extra money being spent on the skate park or for the skate park. Yes, ma'am. Hang on, ma'am. Ma'am, you had a question. I'm sorry.
Like the burden of the deficit, it seems to be a lot of utilities. Which the citizens within the city, I mean, my money going to the police department to protect my kids, I can see that, the dollar amount is to be discussed, but is there a resolution for the bulk of that coming from utilities? Because you have to have that. Is there not enough, is there a resolution with this contract with GDRA that we can do that delta deficit with another outside of utilities? Could the
So the-
sales tax
So here's the sales tax, and this is what we lovingly refer to as the walking penny. So out of the 9.917% sales tax, the city gets 4 of it. Okay, this is how it happens. You pay your tax on your Big Mac meal. It goes to the Oklahoma Tax Commission. The Oklahoma Tax Commission sends it back to us. It goes into our general fund, and then we move all of it into the Sallisaw Municipal Authority. Okay, from the Sallisaw Municipal Authority, it is then split up. Those are the 4 cents. Count up the halves, and it all comes up to 4 cents of every of that 9.91. Whereas the other 5.91 go county. Okay, we get 4 cents of it. So where does that money split up, and how much is it? Based off of last year's tax receipts, you see 2025, 2026. Those numbers are all projections based off of the budget that we expected, and then projections to the end of the year based off of what's been collected so far. Okay, give me a second here.
We need to hire a different group of accountants and do a different budget so they can actually look for our own benefit and not for the rest of the, benefit some other group that are not actually benefiting us.
So, ma'am, I have two accountants on staff, two accountant trained individuals on staff, and this is what they do.
People that budget, why do they actually stick all the expenses into us to pay utilities? They could have breaking it down.
So,
I like numbers because 1 and 1 is 2, but it's like, what happened with these 2 accountants? Were they not okay or what?
So, and that's one of the reasons why I asked my accountants not to be here, is because they will start trying to explain it to you. And when you talk about, I can't remember, modified, help me out here, Mr. Abel. Thank you. Modified accrual versus modified adjustments versus when dollar amounts are counted toward what account. So for instance, that everybody's heard of the $16 million transfer that happens between the SMA and the general fund. We don't have all that money 1 July when the budget year starts, right? So that's why there are monthly transfers out of the SMA, because all that money's in the SMA. There are monthly transfers out of the SMA to the general fund to pay for payroll is the biggest chunk of that. Okay. So again, those numbers on the left-hand side, that's the amount of money that sits or moves around. And we just talked about the bonds. Those are your 2 half-cent bonds that we currently have.
So when the bond runs out?
Right, right now, when the bond runs out, that half-cent goes away. And theoretically, your sales tax goes down. Theoretically. No, not theoretically. That will happen. If those bonds go away, those 2 half pennies go away. Okay? Sir.
It's a great slide.
Yep.
And it looks like you're handling the taxes within reasonable abilities, okay? When we back up to the other slide, because what we're really talking about here is a balanced budget. Okay?
Okay.
And when you tell me as a city manager that you don't know what's under public safety, and you don't know what's under general government, and you don't know what's under administration, that
Sir,
gives me heartburn.
hang on. So I'll back up to what I said before. These numbers are from the audit, right up there I know it's fine print. These numbers are from the audit. The auditors audit this way and lump public safety together. Okay. When we budget, I budget for departments, police, fire. Under police is the 911, the jailers, the jail, okay, and the fire department. All of that gets lumped together under public safety when these audits come out. We budget differently.
Where is the accountability and the transparency?
So it's in the budget that we pass every year. That is our plan. That is how we plan to spend the money this year that we expect to come in. The audit then turns around and looks, did you do it that way? And where are you financially? The audit happens for 25. The audit was provided to the council in December for the fiscal year 25 that started in July of 24 and goes to June of 25. So I'm good on the budget.
Okay.
So I do have some questions about what the accountants, the third-party auditors call some of these things and how they lump them together.
And
Okay.
It's my understanding that the way this city is operating is not uncommon for a small town in Oklahoma.
Not at all.
Okay, taking utility money, transferring to the general fund.
Yes, sir.
The city. Now, the order of magnitude here is, I think, what's in question versus the holes in your bucket. Where is our money going? And should it really be going there? Those are the answers that we need answers, the questions that we need answers.
So under state law, we run a balanced budget. Part of that balance does include carryover for the next year. All of that in this year's budget that's online, you all can go see it. That money is all laid out dollar for dollar where we expect to spend the amount of money we expect to receive.
Okay, balanced budget is the wrong term to be using, and I understand you're balancing your budget.
Yes, sir.
You're meeting your forecast spending within a percentage accuracy. The question is, should we be spending money in areas where we are spending? For example, I don't know if this is true or not, but I do a lot of online reading. That's what OPARTs do. But I understand that we, the city, are paying out on some lawsuits that are libel lawsuits that we saw.
That is not
What's the
accurate.
order of magnitude of that?
That is not accurate.
Okay, well, what is the situation there?
So we have a contract with OMAG. We contract with OMAG to be our legal defense.
Okay.
We have and I can't get into details, but we have I'm sorry, on your insurance.
Like an insurance policy?
Yes, it's an insurance policy for legal representation. Just like an insurance policy, you have a deductible.
Right.
That's what the city pays.
Okay.
The city pays it's $1,000.
Okay. Good.
So
Good
when
to
you
know.
when you
That
see,
keeps the public discontent.
yep, yes,
I
sir.
would hope.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would hope so too.
But
So the millions of dollars, the quote unquote millions of dollars that we paid out in lawsuits, one, that's not accurate either. But two, no, ma'am, it's
But,
Okay.
but the city isn't paying that. The city has insurance. to pay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And that's good to know. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Hang on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Have you done any kind of study on your general government outage there? That's a lot of money.
When you define government, so that is
General government,
under 14, or excuse me, it's under $15 million, and 65% of that is salaries and benefits.
Well, then maybe should that be put on the mic?
Sir, we look at that every year, And I will tell you now, I've only been here 15, 16 months. For everybody that says you need to cut those salaries, is somebody else saying you pay your people peanuts.
Oh, I understand.
So we take a look at that every year. Salaries and benefits is part of it. Okay. One thing that let me use my cheat card here. On what, ma'am? On salaries. So we have not had a salary survey recently. It's been at least 4 to 5 years since we've done a salary survey. Formal across the entire, hang on, ma'am, across the entire city. We compare OML, the Oklahoma Municipal League, and OMAG actually do salary surveys on certain positions, and we are competitive. We are not the highest, we are not the lowest. We're about right in the middle for all of those salaries that are compared. The last salary survey actually raises salaries. So raises salaries and hourly rates. Give me a second. Medical insurance alone between 2019 and today increased 63.5%. So that is one of the increases that you all are feeling. The city's feeling it. We have a couple of we actually have a meeting middle of next month with our they're not accountants, with our health insurance folks, and I've actually challenged them to say, hey, look, we need some other options that'll save the city money. So we are absolutely looking at options to continue to save the city money. Ma'am, there are 154 authorized city employees.
What is the payroll for those employees?
It is, do I have a total here?
What fund does that come out?
I do not have a total. It's about 13, this year is about $13.6 million.
Okay, the county has 210 employees, their salary is $6 million.
Okay.
We have 150 and it's 13.
So 13.6 for salaries and benefits.
And the
So
county's is 6.
for salaries and benefits for 300 people.
The sheriff has 88,000.
Ma'am, I'm not in charge of the county.
I'm just saying, maybe we need to look at it. Have you got one employee here?
So
One in there that-
So here's a great example. I just lost an employee out of the electric department to Cookson. The day he walks in the door at Cookson, he's going to make $5 more an hour. As soon as he passes, he's been a journeyman with us for years. As soon as he passes Cookson's requirements, he's going to be making $11 more an hour. And I told them walking out, I can't compete with that. And when I say I mean the city, we can't compete with that.
And they still have lower rates than we do.
No. So I've got an employee that's on Cookson. Okay, so let's compare that real quick. I've got an employee that's on Cookson. She lives in Muldrow. Okay, if the amount of electricity she used, she did that comparison here. She does pay less in Muldrow. When she compares water, sewer, she's paying a little less in Muldrow. Okay, so you're absolutely right. Cookson is a little cheaper. Cookson doesn't have this. Okay, and I actually had a conversation with one of their linemen. I was like, their linemen don't make them a dime of money. You don't walk up and hand a check to a lineman. You walk up and hand a check to a CSR, or you mail it in if you're Cookson. So, and it's just the electric company. So they don't have the overhead that we have. Is one easy comparison of why they operate as a private company. I know it's a cooperative. There's differences. I got it. But for all intents and purposes, it's a private company. It's a competitor with OG&E, OMPA, et cetera, et cetera. Ma'am.
City cut some expenses. They wouldn't need massive amount of cost if they could put, maybe cut one here, cut one there, saving a little money. Kind of what we have to do when we don't have enough money, something's gotta go.
Absolutely. And I'm glad. Let's put a pin in that, because that's true of your services as well. No, absolutely. So when it comes to services, let's talk about that. You want this level of service, you're willing to pay this much money.
It's not what we're willing to pay. It's what we're able to pay.
Okay, we'll use that. You're able to pay. This is not going to stay. It's got to come down.
Bring it down then. That's
So
what you gotta do.
the easiest example of that, and this is the analogy I'd tell people, the storm in September that we had knocked out power. Tornado, downdraft, depends on who you talk to online. Okay. We had primary power restored in this city within 24 hours. Everybody, I'll use that in quotes because there were onesies and twosies that didn't, everybody had their power restored within 36 hours. We lose service, we drop our quality of service, we start falling back on what the state of Oklahoma says. The first 72 is on you.
You guys are great about
And instead of 24, you're looking at 3 days without electricity.
$1,000 a month.
Ma'am, so let's so because we're out here, let's talk about $1,000 bills. Okay? Okay, let's talk about $1,000 bills. There aren't go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, sir.
I went to the mayor's because I tried, I got, and then all this is just playing right into it, but that's neither here. But I went and talked to the mayor at his house on Sunday. I tried to get on the agenda last month's meeting, but we wouldn't have all this heating going on right now. I was thinking. But anyway, that's either here or there. But something stuck out to me, that the mayor said, and it's
Excuse me.
kept up ever since. I didn't say that on the bill, but he said, well, the reason the bills are up so high, he says, well, we had to help pay for an ice storm 100 miles away. We had to pay for upgrades 100 miles away through GRDA.
So sorry,
Why not looking out for our people? Why we paying for crap 100 miles away?
so sorry,
You know, your degree of freedom is GRDA.
Ultimately, we're gonna end up what New York City's facing. The wealthy people will move out. It'll leave the people here that can't afford to move out, that also can't afford to pay the bill.
It's called gentrification.
We have churches leaving. We have churches leaving.
Go back to the electric, please.
yes, ma'am.
We're gonna see what we can do about the high electric bills.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. What's the solution? Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's if we can, where'd he go? If we can. Hello.
Push the button. Push the button. Push the button.
This is look. If I'd make a joke, but I'm not gonna do. This isn't big enough to hide behind. Okay, so let's talk about the rates. Can you all see this? I know it's small. No, nobody can see it. This is why I moved everybody over here so we could, because y'all for darn sure aren't seeing those. Okay, so these are the 2 resolutions that were passed in September of 24. Okay, September 24, your annual increases through October of 27 were passed on electricity on the left, water on the top, sewer on the bottom on the right. Okay, so not 45% this year, not 15% this year, it's 4% this year. 4% this August, this October is what is scheduled. And let's talk percentage. We're going to talk percentage. And then what I'd like you to do, that a friend of mine in the Army, it's a tyranny of small numbers. Okay. So before we get excited about percentages, tyranny of small numbers. If you pay $5 for something now and you pay $10 for it next month, that's a 100% increase. If I pay $100 for something this month and $110 for it next month, I just paid double your increase, but mine's only a 10% increase. So when we talk percentages, what I'd encourage you to do is look at dollar amounts. And when we talk through this in the next slide, we're going to talk dollar amounts. Okay? So across the top, I've got the customer charge and the charge per kilowatt and how much they go up and how much, actually the first year it went down. Okay? Why did it do that? I don't know. I'm going to claim a little bit of ignorance and ask you all for a little bit of grace. I wasn't here for it. I've read it. I understand it enough to have read it. I can't explain some of the outcomes. For instance, if you add those up, that's 23 and 8 is 31% over 4 years. Why wasn't it 8% a year? That I can't answer. I don't know why they didn't spread it out evenly across all 4 years. Sir.
That's a problem that I've got. We come to every meeting, we come and sit through that presentation that the woman that used our tax dollars to hire to do the study on.
Yes, sir.
And they said 3% a year on the water is what she said. And the first year went up 33%. 20% next year. And then
That's
What
not
they
true.
did, they, you know, we was at the meeting.
I see what
They
it is.
went
I'm telling
15%
you what she
on
discussed.
the electric and then she said 4. We got it on tape.
Okay.
But
So,
I mean,
So September of 24, I wasn't here.
I know you weren't here.
That study
I'm just
started.
saying, we went to all the meetings, they went back in the back room and passed something totally different than
I-
what they hired her to do.
So here's my pledge to you all. If, and I'm going to use that if because look, I don't vote on this. Okay, the council votes. Okay, The-
Then they come back and said, we can't do nothing about it.
so
They couldn't.
my pledge to you all is that if we go through another rate study, which is one of the recommendations I'm actually going to make, and I'll tell you why. We go through another rate study. The lady who did it last time was, from what I've heard, retired and completely retired. She was semi-retired when she took us on. So we will have town halls prior to this. It will not be a surprise. It will not be a one-night vote. You all will have it, just like we're doing with the CMP, the Comprehensive Master Plan. You all will have it. It'll be out online for over 30 days before the council votes on it. Okay? It will not be a surprise when the council votes.
Is anybody that does a rate study gonna tell you, don't need to raise it, cause that could put them out of a job?
They're already getting paid, so that doesn't make too much sense. Ma'am, she beat you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Anything to do with that, but my question is, are we wasting our time here? Is there any possibility at all that we're gonna be able to get this amount reduced? Are we just
So-
wasting our time?
Ma'am, that depends on your point of view. I'm going to tell you, just like I started, I can't,
But our budgets, we already know what they are. We know that they don't include $1,000 electric, and they don't go up. We know there's 2 more increases coming. You cut our throats.
So-
Is there any possibility?
so we are not going to change, ma'am, we are not going to change anything tonight. I cannot change anything tonight. I can't change anything on April 13th.
Is it being discussed?
Ma'am, we are going through budget right now. Yes. And I will show you if we can get to it. The idea exchange, there are several initiatives that I'm proposing in the next budget.
That's all I wanted to
Okay.
know.
That will depends on you. There is opportunity for relief, let's put it that way.
How does it depend on us?
So for instance, I have Stillwater's solar generation policy. Okay? I'm not going to install solar panels on your roof. If you would like to install solar panels, that's a way to save money.
People on Social Security can't do that.
Again- Okay. Sir,
Hey, here's some grace here. I appreciate what you're trying to do here, man. You got an active crowd. But,
we're good.
My question is, you said, we're gonna put it all out there, and we're gonna discuss this, and we ain't making a move. Okay, that's great, man, it's fine, Danny. But are the citizens gonna be able to have a word, because at these town hall meetings, it's like, we're gonna do this, and that, y'all ain't gonna say jack about it.
Exactly.
Okay. So there's
An open forum where people like me and engaged citizens can use their First Amendment right and address their grievances with the government. It's in the Constitution. And we don't get to do that here. We gotta get put on an agenda.
yes, sir. So here's the difference.
Instead of Oklahoma, the majority of them don't allow open rec.
Well, I tell you what, I see all kinds of lawsuits all the time with people getting in and trying to speak at a public forum town meeting. So I don't know. I'm just saying, there's all kinds of lawsuits. We
Okay.
have lawsuits that.
And they're allowed, and the city of Southall is
Well,
always.
why doesn't Southall, if they're concerned about the citizens and helping the citizens out, why don't we have?
They're doing it April 13th, right?
Sir, that's why we're here.
What's wrong?
That's why we're here.
I mean, the vast majority of cities don't allow that every meeting.
Well, we have a 10-minute question. and answer.
But it
So, ma'am, just okay. So here we go. There's a difference between an open forum and the monthly council meetings. The monthly council meeting is a business meeting for the business of the council. It is, sir, please let me finish. It is run by an agenda that by law has to be passed, or excuse me, has to be publicized at least 3 days prior to the actual meeting. So last month, when you asked to be on it, it was within that window. I can't change the agenda once it's published. So that's why we had to move you to April. Hang on, ma'am, I see you. So that is the difference between a business meeting of the council and an open forum that we're having tonight. There's a very loose agenda. There's a very strict agenda. Okay, it is a business meeting. That's the difference. If you want to address the council, the way we do it here in Salisaw is talk to your commissioner. Hang on, sir. If you have an issue, my hope would be that you call me. But if you want to call and talk to your commissioner, that is your right as a citizen and as a voter in that ward. As a resident in that ward, sir, please, I'll let you, I got you. As soon as I'm done, I got you. So talk to your commissioner. If your commissioner feels that, and right now they're all guys, if those gentlemen feel that they want to handle it themselves or can address it with me, you, or address it without bringing it to the entire council and bringing it up for the entire city, that is your commissioner's call. He gets on the phone and calls me and says, hey, I want so-and-so on the agenda. This is the topic. Done. Okay? And that's exactly, sir, how you got on the agenda, was because you talked to your commission.
How many we can have on the agenda, because we've had people call and request to be put on, and they told, no, you already have somebody speak.
So,
That person get their opportunity to speak. How many are we allowed to have?
so how many agenda, so the question, let me ask you, how many agenda items need to have the exact same topic?
But the different point of view, a different perspective.
I think that's where they let me have 2 open spots with my.
There, so,
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead, sir.
I get it, I get it. But I mean, you're in all due respect, okay?
Mhm.
With this process, okay, I understand there's informal, will you commit to having some of these informal meetings in between the city council meetings where we can address our government for grievances? If we
So
have
that's-
questions, or
that's what I'm-
you have some more stuff like this in between.
that's what I'm doing.
Well,
And
I'm
that
sure
was-
You have more. This is the first time
that's-
I've ever seen it.
That is my commitment to you, specific to this topic. If we have a rate study, it is not going to be a surprise to you what's voted on whenever the day it gets voted on. It's not going to be a surprise to y'all. We're not doing things behind closed doors. We're not doing things expediently. That's the difference that I'm committing to you all.
Making commitment to having some more open forums.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, yeah,
Now,
I'm asking. Thank you.
with all due respect, talk about the what, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Okay.
I commend you for that, Brian,
Yes, sir.
but what I would like to point out is,
The PCA.
no, I'm not wondering, I'm still waiting on that.
Yes, sir.
Tell me again how many employees this city has?
154,
And what's the population of this city?
87 to 89, depending on who you talk to.
That's outrageous.
Oh,
And then the payroll, you said is
$13.6 million. Yes, ma'am.
There's the net difference.
80,
88.3 thousand for each employee.
yes, ma'am.
When I see some of the listings that you have for heavy equipment, those guys are not even $50.
Those are entry-level positions, ma'am. There are positions above them. And so let's talk about that real quick because
If I'm dividing that, my numbers are not really, I'm making, it's just, you know, so I saw this little job that it says 1465 heavy equipment.
operator number 1.
And
Yep.
it says $14.65. And then I'm dividing right now, you're 154 full-time employees and the 13.6 million expense. So then I'm coming, that comes up to 88,000.3
Mhm.
for employees.
40%, fully 40% of that 88.3 is benefits.
Where
So 40% of that 80, and it's $32,000 just off the top of my head. It's about $32,000 for that.
negotiate lower benefits
That's what
than
we're,
any other
so
business does?
one of the things, and if I've got retired city employees in here, you'll know, one of the things the city prides itself on is we have extraordinarily decent retirement plan, and we have a decent medical plan. We absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Now, but that's what we use to attract workers to pay them for. Now, that particular job that you just read off, that 1465, that is an entry level position, completely unskilled. You come in as an operator level 1 for a heavy piece of heavy equipment. You don't know how to operate it. I'm going to teach you how to operate it. Within a year, you will have gone through probation, you will have gotten 2 pay raises within a year, and then as soon as you are actually licensed to operate the pieces of equipment that we hired you to operate, you're now an operator 2 and making even more. So there's a very quick progression there that absolutely what we advertise in that 1465 is an entry-level, unskilled entry-level position.
You said there were options. Can we get to them? Yeah.
Options to what? I'm sorry.
Increase the electric.
Okay. All right, let me get through this. So we talked, so I would agree with you, except for look at the span of services that a town this size has that towns this size across the state don't have.
For example,
We have a landfill.
okay,
We have a sanitation department. Those are unique. They're not unique. We have a telecommunications department. That is fairly unique across the state. So when you look at some of the different departments that we have that are either unique or very rare across the state, that makes up a lot of it.
but you're in the budget cycle right now. I think you get the magnifying glass out. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Just so people know, you might tell them exactly how to go about getting onto a city agenda.
Yes, ma'am. So
If there's a time frame, how soon do they need to be on it? Do they need to have it written down? Does it get stamped when it's taken in to be put on the agenda?
okay. So the rules, I'll use that in quotes, just to reiterate, call your commissioner. Call your commissioner. You want to get on the agenda, call your commissioner. Commissioner calls me and says, I want Mr. Rawlson on the agenda. Done. What's he talking about? He's talking about this. Done. On the agenda. Now, we've also reached out to Mr. Rawlson. Sir, if you don't mind, I'll use you as an example. He doesn't have anything to present. There's no written thing, no slides to present. So all I need to know is 3 days before that we're going to do that. And then he goes on the agenda. The agenda's published. Off to the races. If you have documentation, if you have these slides or whatever that you want to present to the council, that needs to be part of the agenda item. That also needs to be to me so I can publish it. If you come up to the lectern with a stack of paper and start passing it out, that's not okay.
Well, I realize that. I have worked in the city government.
Yes, ma'am.
But up until tonight, I did not know who my city ward man person was. You know, so does everybody else in here know who is our city ward? I know. So see, who do we know to call?
So it's online. It's online. It's all published. Go to the salisawok.org website. It's the city's website. Look at government across the top, and that will show you a ward map. You know where you live. You figure out what ward you are, and your ward commissioner contact information is on the website. Sir.
Will the presentation be on the city website? So I know.
This one tonight, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's being live streamed. Yes, sir. Yeah, sir.
So we're good for the 13th.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and I'm sorry. I didn't finish. Mr. Ralston's got a statement.
No,
I don't need that.
Step-by-step plan.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So and he's gonna verbally present that. He is not gonna have a handout or anything to give. If you have something like that, that's part of the agenda item that needs to be given prior to the agenda being published. And that is the Open Meetings Act. That's state law. It's what we got to play by. Okay. Which again is why you weren't on March's agenda, because we were too close. Sir, hang on.
I was gonna say, maybe
My new boss is right there.
Why all the council members aren't here tonight, because they usually can't.
Okay, so this is an open meeting. Again, Open Meetings Act. I can't have a quorum here. So if I have 3 commissioners here, it is now an official meeting. Has to have an official agenda and an official, pretty much everything has to run just like a business meeting, just like your council meetings. By not having a quorum here, we can have this back and forth that's fairly free ranging. Okay, ma'am.
If we say that we want to present something at the meeting, and you say we have to give it to you first and then 3 days prior to that, are you able to say, you know what, I'm looking at this and I don't think that you should be able to present that? Do you decide whether or not we can present what we want to present?
Ma'am, the commissioners decide. You have to tell me what your topic is. So if you want to come up and talk about McDonald's, but you bring me a flyer to talk about the sports complex, that doesn't work. That's not the agenda item that you signed up to be on there for. That's dishonest.
As long as it equals what we
Yes, ma'am.
got.
Yes, ma'am. because it's your presentation. So if Mr. Ralston was bringing a handout or something like that, that's up to him. As long as it's not crude, offensive, blah, 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 we will post it, we'll give it to the counselors, and it'll be part of that agenda. That's the other thing, is so the counselors know what is going to be on the agenda. They have a time to review it and all the documentation that goes along with it.
You're gonna buy my solar panels.
I'm not going to buy your solar panels, ma'am. I had solar panels in Durant. I'm not going to buy another set of solar panels.
That's what I got.
It wasn't bad. Okay. Actually, it wasn't bad. There's a trade-off with everything. Okay. So I didn't have an electric bill, but I had a $350 solar panel bill in Durant. Okay. So as we go into this, as you see, let me just talk real quick, because the next slide, I think, we'll see how well it's taken. I could sit here in your shoes and be like, that is gaslighting bull, pardon my French. However, if you look at the numbers, run the numbers, it's not gaslighting, it's math. Okay. So based off of you're going, so your customer charge for electricity is going from scheduled to go from 1856 to 1930 this fall, October 26th. That is approximately a 70%, or excuse me, not percent, 70-cent increase a month, 70-cent increase. Hang on a minute. That reflects the 4% up top, not 15, not 45, 4. Okay. The price per kilowatt is going up from it's 11 cents, 11.16 cents is going up, proposed, scheduled, use those terms, scheduled to go up to 11.61 cents per kilowatt. So how much does your bill go up? Depends on how much you use. No, it absolutely depends on how much you use.
What you can't show here is PCA.
So, correct. Real quick. Next slide.
PCA is running anywhere from 8 to 25, 27%, and that's what's killing it.
That's
DCA runs between 20 and 25%.
okay.
And it was
So-
running 2 to 3%.
I will say that again.
It was running 2 to 3%.
And it is-
Now between 19, almost 20 to 25.
That is not accurate. No, hang on. When we talk PCA, since the city switched to PCA, power cost adjustment, I'm not even gonna try to figure out CPBA or PCAX or any of that nonsense. Right now, what we have is the PCA. The PCA is a direct pass through from GRDA plus 10%. Bear with me. If it is 2.7 cents, then your PCA, or excuse me, if we are charged 2.7 cents, we turn around and charge you 2.9 cents, 2.79 cents. 10%.
So you're making money on PCA?
No. Here's where the 10% comes from. It's called line loss. Okay? So the amount of electricity that comes to us versus the amount of electricity that we have to distribute, we lose about 10% of that in the electric system. Here's an analogy. If you take hot water, let's just say it's 100 degrees, pour it in a hose. That hose is 20 foot long. That water's not going to be 100 degrees coming out the other end. That's the PCA. That's our part of the PCA. That's the 10%, 10% line loss. That's what we tack onto the PCA, but it's absolutely what GRDA charges us, we turn around and charge you. The bill, the dollar amount. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay, so my house, surrounding property has trees all growing up in all of my lines and everything. And I did request to have those trees trimmed, and yes, they did come out and do some of that. Would that be related to possible going down the line, having all those trees tangled up in the lines?
Not particularly. This is if you take this is the easiest way I've come to think about it. So I apologize if I'm talking down to anybody. Hot water in one hot water with a certain temperature, it's going to be a lower temperature down there. The amount of electricity that comes into the town, into the substations from GRDA versus the amount of electricity throughout the system that we lose getting it to you is about 10%. And that does oscillate a little bit. 1 month it's 8%, 1 month it's 12%. It is 10% annually is what we average it out to, about 10% annually. Okay.
GRDA my original question.
Mhm.
I'm tired of waiting. What is
Go ahead.
the kilowatt hour per hour cost?
So GRDA charges us on and off peak pricing. So off peak, it is 1 cent a kilowatt. On peak, it is 4 cents a kilowatt. Now, that seems really low. Let me talk about our December 25 bill.
So let's just clarify that before you.
Yep, go ahead.
That's roughly
Way less than what we charge you.
6%, 6 cents or more, 8 cents per kilowatt hour that you're profiting off of.
Not entirely.
No.
Let me-
The net end result, I get it.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Right there, there's a net
Nope.
difference.
Let me finish. Let me finish. The PCA is, they charge us the PCA separately as well.
I'm not talking PCA now, I'm talking straight kilowatt hour.
Okay, straight tail kilowatt.
4
here's-
cents versus 11 cents.
Okay, so here's the difference. Okay, you see here, our residential customer class pays a charge and a per kilowatt charge. That's it. You come down here, now we've got a demand charge. Okay, so our electricity, just the kilowatts, and I'm using December 25's bill, GRDA charged us $72,000. There's a demand charge on that bill too. That's almost $300,000.
No, that's commercial demand. We're residents.
No, you are get this charge. When I say $72,000, that's so when we talk about kilowatt hours, we talk about, I'm charging you, because that's what we're thinking, that I'm charging you this amount of money per kilowatt, correct? What I'm telling you is that it doesn't translate cleanly. If we're going to look at that 11 cents, compare it to the 4 and the 1 cent on and off peak with GRDA, it doesn't translate cleanly because that's $72,000 in December, just the electric charge.
Okay, why?
No, hang on.
Understand.
Okay,
Electricity
they
charge.
also,
Why is it not transferring clearly?
because they also charge us a demand charge, which
Okay.
is almost $300,000.
That's a commercial
So-
demand charge, is it not?
No, no, sir. I'm saying they treat us as they treat the city as a commercial. When they charge us,
Okay, thank you.
they treat us as, we have a demand charge. So when I say $72,000 based off of just those kilowatt charges, they're actually charging me close to closer to $400,000, $350-ish in December, $350,000 for those same kilowatts.
So they're booking us 3 times, PCA, demand, and kilowatt per hour?
Yes, sir.
Holy
And that
cow.
was in the contract.
Yes, sir. Yes. So it's very similar. So from a business, I understand, but from a business standpoint, they're not doing anything different. There's a demand charge, and that is very, very common. To a commercial customer, they charge you a specific rate, and then they charge you a demand charge. They make their money off the demand charge dramatically. Now, the PCA, we can talk about the PCA later. But the PCA, they do charge us the PCA. That was about $280,000 in December. It changes every month. The amount they charge changes every month. Ma'am. So for us,
So that like seniors can get
For
up
here?
in the middle of the night or something and do their laundry.
No. No. No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. You're fine. And that's one of the things. That's
Brian, why is
sir.
that demand charge not reflected on my bill? Or is it?
It is in that 11 cents.
So it's rolled into that 11.
Yes, sir. So when we say they only charge us, they're only charging you 1 cent or 4 cents, depending on the time of day. You're charging me 11 cents. That's why I say it's not clean. Because while that's true, kilowatts, they're also charging me $270,000 in a demand charge for that same $70,000 worth of electricity,
So is the PCA a straight pass-through cost?
plus the 10%.
Plus the-
Yes, sir.
So basically what you're saying is that the city of Salinol's profit margin is also baked into that 11 cents.
Yes, sir.
versus what the RDA is charging.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
Pass the demand on to commercial clients, so they actually see that on the bill.
Yes. So residential customers won't see a demand charge. Commercial customers do. Okay. So they absolutely see a demand charge. Okay. So let me run through 3 scenarios very, very quickly. Now, if this fits you, awesome. These are generic, very generic, and very even because I'm not good at math. Okay. The top one is a family of 3. Address number 1, family of 3, uses 2,000 kilowatts a month. Excuse me. Uses 3,000 gallons of water, which equates to 3,000 gallons of sewer. They have 1 polycart. And just to keep everything equal, there is a 25-cent DEQ fee. Okay. In July of 24, they would have paid $358.15 for that amount of usage. Based off the PCA, these two PCAs were annual averages. We can go back and look at that, okay? The 0.0265 I used for October 25, because that's what it was in October 25. The other two are wild guesses, okay? No idea what the PCA is going to be in the next 2 years. None. But I had to have something to be able to compare it to, okay? Family had $358.15 bill. Fast forward to October 24, the first time the bills went up. $349. They actually went down. Because remember, the per kilowatt hour charge went down. Okay? October 20. Why does that make sense? I don't know.
It's called a baby swap.
Well, these folks, the more you used, the more benefit you had because you overcame that increase in customer charge. The less you used, you actually didn't see a savings. Okay? So fast forward to October 24, they're paying $349. Fast forward to October last year, in October, they would have paid $391. $41 more that month for that same amount of usage as they paid for in July of 24. Okay? October 26th, this fall, they're going to pay $404.58, scheduled in accordance with the schedule. Okay? In October 27, they'll pay $417.45 for that usage based off of those PCA prices. Okay? So between October 27 and July of 24, the bill for that usage will have gone up by $59.30. Yes, ma'am.
I think we can all agree that if that's what was happening, we would all be here.
So, hang on.
Did you know
Let me-
water almost doubled from 26.6 to 50.7? That's almost double.
It's the rates. Ma'am, I'm
Yeah, we know it's right.
I got it. I got it. Yep, absolutely. And I will tell you the rates.
What the woman suggested.
The rates for water and sewer went up dramatically, right? Went up dramatically. For over a decade, they didn't move.
Yes, they did.
So the last rate study didn't even address water and sewer in 2020. Okay. Electricity went up 1.4%. How much has inflation gone up this year? How much has inflation gone up this year? How much has inflation gone up this year?
Actually, we were
So-
going down, it was at 9 point something %, now we're down. to
So
like
it's
3%.
about 2.4, 2.7 this year over the past several years. So if you look at the 4% we're going to increase, like, holy crap, you guys are making a ton of money. GRDA is raising it on us. Again, we talk about percentage and numbers don't quite add up. These are their rate increases on us the same years. Okay? Using December 25 as an example, we went from 24 to 25, we had a 5.5% increase. This fall, if we have our December bill, the exact same bill we have in December 26, it'll go up 3.4%. So if GRDA is increasing the cost on us 3.4%, we're increasing the cost on you 4%. Who's eating inflation? The city is. 3.4. Excuse me? 2.4 plus 3.4 is 5.8, right? 4%. So the city's eating 1.8%. And I'm not saying we're magnanimous.
3 years ago, you went up 15% though.
15%. First year, absolutely we did.
That's right.
Because the previous
So you got to jump there.
because the previous rates were going up 1.4% and 1.5% a year. Instead of you not even keeping so that's where when you hear about these utilities losing money, that's where they're losing money. If costs are going up by 3%, we'll just use easy numbers, 3%, is that okay? Over the past couple of years, 3%? And we're only increasing rates 1.5%, that amount of money, that profit, the value of that profit is going down by 1.5% every year. Ma'am,
This is gonna sound facetious, and I
No,
don't
go.
mean to sound that way.
you're fine, ma'am.
What is the city's backup plan? So in October, when the next rise comes in our electric bills,
Hmm?
we're all gone, how are you gonna pay the GRDA then?
How you gonna run the city?
How are you gonna run the city? Cause we're all gonna be gone. We can't do this. We cannot do it. It's not a matter if we don't want to, it's we cannot,
Ma'am, I heard you.
okay?
I'm hearing you.
You did, I really don't.
So my question is, what, do you have, the city has any plan to, like, when people start like not being able, what's the percentage of people that are not paying you the bills right now?
I don't have that answer, ma'am.
And let's see, like, by the end, that, they just don't have the money, those people, what's the percentage of people that are being cut their services?
That's what I mean. I don't have that percentage for you.
What's gonna, does the city has any solutions for those people that are actually gonna lose service? Are they gonna be out of homeless? Maybe because, I mean, it's just financial agony. I mean, it's just, it's just, what does the city gonna do?
Someone's gotta give, and it shouldn't be the elderly.
Understood. Ma'am,
The marijuana tax. Where's that money?
the marijuana taxes goes to Parks and Rec specifically. It is designated. It goes to the Park and Rec Fund.
And then wasn't that in the red? I mean, in the black, red?
No, it is not.
It's in the red. Why is it?
It is. I'm serious. So when you think of marijuana money, look at the schools. The schools use the preponderance of that money. When you think of marijuana money, that doesn't come to the city. We get sales tax for marijuana. That's it. That's it. So I'm sorry. So that sales tax, because it's from the marijuana, legally it has to go into and be used for recreation activities. That's state of Oklahoma law. That's not me. That's not even a city solution or a city resolution. Excuse me. So a family of 5. You see the numbers there. The family of 5 is going to pay $81 difference per month over 4 years. So it's a $20 a year increase over those 4 years. Sir, go ahead. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
My bill wasn't but 247 total. Water, trash, sewer. You got written up there, it should have been.
This is an example. Your bills will absolutely be different if you used different amounts. So if you use less water than that, so your first 2,000 gallons, it's not a lot. I got it. Your bill was less because your kilowatts were less.
1,100, 2,900 last month, and I've been running propane and I use no way.
Well, and sir,
I jump up 1,800.
if you're willing to stay around, sir, I can take a look and see if we've got your information. So your information is beginning and end. I can show you where you use that much electricity. And here, let me, so let me use this as an example. Gentleman called me up, hair on fire. How can the house across from me, that's mine, how can an unoccupied house use 580 kilowatts a month? How is that possible? It's unoccupied. There's no way. Sir, it's either the brand new meter out of the box or your structure is using that much electricity. It's one of those two things. So in accordance with city policy, if you believe it's the meter, I'll send it back to the manufacturer. I'll have them test it. If it comes back correct, then you owe me shipping and handling and the rest of your bill. If it comes back wrong, it'll come back and tell me how wrong it was, and we'll make it right. No questions.
Marco didn't have that the previous meeting, I mean, they couldn't put wrong from the other meter supposedly. All I have, the little tiny thing that tells me that in 9 days, that I have a $300 bill, almost $400 bill.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Cause I don't have.
Nope.
I couldn't put on the computer because they made a new system with it.
So
You can't put two meters on one,
So what happened is you got a new meter halfway through your billing cycle, halfway through your month. Because of the system we use, there can only be one electric meter on your system at a time, on your bill at a time. So what you see, those 9 days, is the last 9 days of the month that new meter.
Did you ask?
Yes, I did.
We-
That's not important, then.
We can
I'm sitting here going, why is my bill so high?
They didn't have
They won't give me that previous reading, I can't figure it out.
They won't give me that previous reading.
Ma'am, you come see me afterwards. I can tell you exactly. I hope I can tell you exactly what your reading is. Okay? They can. Every time your meters were removed, your old meters were removed, they copied down the end reading. The new meter went in, and however long that meter was in until the end of your billing cycle, they added those two numbers together and came up with your total usage. The bill reflects 9 days, 2 days, 2 weeks, and that's an error in the system. It should not ever do that again. You will see a 30-day or 29-day. I'm sorry, ma'am? No, that was the new meter that was being put in. Sir.
I just want to clarify, all the new meters that have been installed, from state law requires that the meters be calibrated prior to installation, so we need to sell us off for calibration prior to.
Yes, sir. We have a contractor that's responsible for doing it, who subs it to the actual installer. Yes, sir. Sir.
About the new meters, they're smart meters.
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay. I have studied and watched videos and talked to electricians about smart meters. The way they work is they don't record the amount of electricity coming into your home on a 24-hour basis. It takes clips, little samples of your usage throughout the 24-hour period.
Every hour, yes, sir.
And the programming fills in blanks. Is that how our meters work?
So, as I understand it, the meter records it every hour. And then at the continuously, every hour. And then I can look at, and then as we sit down and pull it, all those days, all those individual hours are added up, and that's what your bill is.
My next question was, or statement, the people are upset over these gigantic spikes. Okay, not necessarily this increase. This increase actually isn't that big. It's not. I mean, I know 45% sounds like a lot, but if you're paying, like you said, $200 for 45% increase, that makes your bill $300. That's not that big an increase. But when you have a household that is every month consistently for years, your monthly bill has averaged $250 and it's happened to us. All of a sudden, I get a bill for $1,200. My usage did not spike that much.
No way.
So,
The math on math.
hang on. So, and again, I'll be more than happy to sit down with anybody who wants to look at their individual meter. I will tell you, anecdotally, 90% of the people who call me and have that exact comment, how in the Sam Hill did I use 5,800 kilowatts in my house last month? Okay, ma'am. In this case, it was a ma'am. Let's go back and look. How much did you use in February of 25? 5,500 kilowatts. How many did you use in February 24? 5,900 kilowatts. So I will tell you that is very high, but anecdotally, that is what is happening. And I'll tell you, folks who don't have gas, that don't use gas for heat, they will see that exact same cycle over the summer. So they'll have very low winter electric rates that those bills won't reflect because we don't have gas. You're getting gas from A&G or right, Arkansas National Gas. I have an all electric house. Sorry. But you won't see that. You'll see their spike in the summer when their HVAC kicks on. Okay, and they're using their HVAC. They're using electricity to cool the house.
We understand that.
Okay, but ma'am, you'd be surprised how many people call me and say, "How in the Sam Hill does my house?"
There's no way. There's not an explanation for that. I'm sorry.
Ma'am, there is, and in 90% of the cases, in 90% of the cases, when you see these things online, and everybody sees the upper right-hand corner of a bill, let's take a look at that bill. Let's see the rest of the bill. Is that 2 months? In some cases, it has been 2 months of a payment. They didn't make a payment last month. Now, is that everybody's case? Absolutely not. So I am more than willing to sit down and talk with you individually about your bill. I'm not gonna put your business out to everybody else unless you want it there, ma'am. Hang on.
Are sitting in their homes with no air conditioning, no heat, nothing on, just a refrigerator running, and we're still paying astronomical bills. So how can that be usage?
Okay.
We're not using electricity.
So let me go back to the gentleman who had the empty house. Okay, empty house, 580 kilowatts. How in the Sam Hill is that house using 580 kilowatts? It's empty. Okay, sir? Fired up at me. Justifiably so. It's either the meter or your house. Brand new out of the box meter. Ma'am, I'm talking about this situation specifically. He tells me, you know what? I'm just going to pull the breaker. I'm going to shut the breaker off on the HVAC system and we'll see. Okay, sir? I'll call you back tomorrow. I called him back tomorrow. I said, sir, you pulled that meter between 10 and 11 o'clock last night. He's like, yes, I did. How'd you know that? Because your usage went to almost zero. And it's been that way for the past 12 hours. Almost zero because he left his hot water heater on. It was 0.3 kilowatts an hour because his hot water heater was on.
When that happened to our bill, the first month it spiked. Okay, we have gas, heat, water, all that is gas. Electric runs the AC and like the appliance. Okay, the AC wasn't on, just the heat. We cut everything down because we didn't want the next bill to spike. For 4 minutes consistently, it spiked, and it kept going up. Although we were doing everything in our power to not use,
Freezing.
all the little tips, all the little tricks to lower your usage. It didn't work.
So
We
I'm more than happy to sit down with you and talk to you, sir, but it's either one of two things. Can we at least agree to that? It's one of two things. Either the meter is wrong or your structure is using that much electricity. Now, when the structure is using that much electricity, so the customer with the 5,800 bill or the 5,800 kilowatt bill, okay? Now, at that point, it's let me make it like a water leak. I can tell you, I can suggest to you what to do, but if the water's going through that meter, it's going into your house and it's spinning. It's not a leak on the city side, because a leak on the city side wouldn't go through your meter and wouldn't make it spin. On the water, we're talking water right now, okay? So in this case, I liken it to you have a leak in electricity. Where is it? I can make suggestions. I can tell you what I would look at, and I will tell you that, understandably so, that tends to fall on deaf ears, okay? I can take a neighborhood and show you the inconsistency in electrical usage. I can show you where this neighbor has a $100 bill, this neighbor has a $500 bill, this neighbor's got a $300 bill. The difference is the usage that they're using. What is it? Is it behavior? Are they keeping their temperatures higher in their house? I don't know. I'm not there. The bottom line is they're using more electricity, and when you use more, you get charged more. And that's how the billing system works, ma'am.
Well, let me just say something. I want
Go ahead.
to Brian, because he's in the hot seat and he's taking a lot. He's done a lot. But there's a good way to look at this, okay? You can get with him and you can turn your power off with the breaker and you can see what that meter does. I can turn the power off the breaker and the meter still runs. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need to find out where the problem is.
So in that case, you have something, unless you pull your entire house breaker, you have something else running. So let's just everybody know does anybody know what a vampire load is? Okay, what's a vampire load? Just an example.
It's a coffee pot.
It's a TV. It's a computer that you have in sleep instead of off. All of that pulls electricity. All of that adds up. Ma'am, if it's a kilowatt an hour, there's 24 kilowatts a day that TV is using because you think you have it off and it's not.
We know in the wintertime, our electric bill's gonna go up. We know when triple digits hit, our electricity's gonna go up. Never in our entire lives has it gone up that much.
Ma'am, I will be more than happy to sit down and talk with you and show you that 90% of the time it is cyclical, and you have used that much electricity in the past.
We use 100 less kilowatts, pay $70 a bill.
Well, I tell you what.
Okay.
If you're upset, get with Brian. He's willing to work.
Thank you.
So-
I'm not attacking.
No, you're fine, sir. You're fine. I'm here. I got the shoulders. You're welcome, sir. You're good.
We appreciate you.
It worked.
That's what my question is,
Mhm.
and I'll leave you alone, because you've been right nice, but does the city have a plan B, or are we just like full throttle, we're doing a rate increase, and y'all gonna pay? I mean, is there?
So,
I mean, do y'all have any like plans in the works or ideals, or is everybody relying on me on the 13th?
so let's go ahead, ma'am.
Is there any way that we can not do the whole percentage increase?
There is a way. the council would have to pass a resolution to undo this. Yes, ma'am. That-
But we're kind of bound by GRDA though. 'Cause it's not.
So,
We not-
so hang on. There's two different, so when we say not do the rate increase, I would posit, I wouldn't argue, because that's rude, right? I would posit that undoing the rate increase is completely different than breaching our contract with GRDA.
Yeah,
I would argue that is scorched, sir, it is, anything's possible. I will tell you, it will cost an astronomical amount of money to do that.
I realize that would be,
Absolutely not. You're talking about breaching a contract. So for instance, GRDA owns half of all of our substations. We would have to buy those. Millions of dollars. There are penalties that would be included because we're breaching a contract now. We're not giving them a 2-year notice that we're not going to extend our contract. It would be dramatically financially destructive to breach a contract with them. Period.
Legally, can we go after the fellas who signed this in your contract?
Sir, under what?
Can I want to say something on here. So the reason that GRDA and every electric company has these massive contracts is because they are spending money to put in that infrastructure. So they get Sallisaw as a customer. I don't know how many exactly 40, 50, whatever years ago that was when they first started. But they go in, they say, okay, we've got a 50-year contract with this community. We're gonna go in and spend $25 million. They take out a loan basically for $25 million, the Green River Dam in this case. $25 million, they could pay them. I don't know if they cash or not. They spread that out over that 50-year contract, kind of, because they're also assuming they're gonna keep that contract further. So that's how that works. You can go online and type in GRDA bond.
25 million, 4 years at 6 million, that's 24.
I made up the number. I'm sure it's a lot more.
No, the different,
6 is 24.
sir, the difference,
Okay.
sir, the difference, think of it this way. You're buying your house, you've got a 15-year loan,
Yeah.
you got a 15-year loan.
Should have said 1.5 billion. Okay, spread out over 50 years.
Yeah, but GRDA doesn't just have Sallisaw, they have, what it does is the Oklahoma Regulatory Commission says, Sallisaw has this little district here, and OG&E has this little district, and then Cookson Hills has, yeah, I get it, man, I don't know.
So it's if,
look at it, GRDA's balance. I'm
Right.
sorry.
They're having problems right now.
Yeah.
so they're a state entity, and there are things that can be changed. They can choose to change parts and pieces of how they operate, and there's changes that would have to take place in Oklahoma City.
I understand.
I think what
So-
you would find if you went in and looked at all the rates of all the different companies, is there's not gonna be a huge difference. I sat down with 4 of my friends today, all on Cookson Hills. I got my electric bill today, way down, by the way. And I was cheaper than the other 4 that were on Cookson. So everybody wants to say, well, Cookson's a lot cheaper than us. No, it's not. In the comments on some of this stuff, people were saying, we're gonna have to leave Sallisaw. Somebody says in there where you're going, I think I'm gonna go to Podo. Podo residents went in there and said, what'd they say? They said, don't come here, ours is going up too. Northwest Arkansas just passed a 23% rate increase on, I think, Swepco, I believe up there.
Southwest, the valley.
College. So this is a nationwide problem, and I challenge you to find somewhere anywhere near our vicinity that is significantly different. Now, what I will say, and what I've told City Manager Beverly is some of these seem wrong. I mean, some of these, $1,000, and I have a friend. I went into Brian's office. We looked, and I had permission, and I said, hey, I'm gonna go to Brian's office. We looked at several of these. We went back through his. He had $1,000 bill. He used 8,000 kilowatts. I'm going, how in the world did he use 8,000 kilowatts? Brian initially said, man, that's weird. We go through like 4 years or just kind of click through there. He had 1 or 2 months every year that he used 8,000 kilowatts. He had those high bills. This was a little bit higher, but he had 900 bills he mentioned to me about a couple of years ago. And, so this was a pattern for them. Now, this is a bigger house and had a pool and a hot tub and stuff. These smaller houses, that's what doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. We had talked to Brian, I and somebody else, and said, can we maybe pull somebody aside, and this will be part of our budget discussions, can we pull somebody aside and say, let's send them to this house, do a little bit of testing here and there and see. I know personally that I had a friend with a high electric bill. They found out they had a neighbor on the backside of them running extension cord and been running an RV off of their house. So, I mean, there's just weird stuff like that. And I do believe that there can be errors. But it's not always. Sometimes it's a really bad AC unit. When I got a new AC unit 6-7 years ago, my electric rates went down because it didn't work.
I think I have people sending me bills, okay? I have a stack of bills that are over $1,000. And I'm pretty sure the city of Sallisaw has never had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house pay $1,000 electric bill before this year. No matter the usage, no matter the usage.
Exactly.
A small 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Maybe not a small one, but you know, you
So-
sent me some of those.
I have a lot more than
Yeah,
that.
but you sent me some of them were blacked out, but you could still tell where it was. There was another little deal on there. And there were some of those that I wanted. I mean, now I will say a couple of the ones you sent me were extremely old now. So I'm thinking, damn, you know.
It's easy to blame that, but that's not the case.
But we
with
need to
everybody.
look. But what I'm saying is, you're taking the easy blame on the city, on the electric rates. It's not always that.
No, I get that. It ain't always the city. Some of us live that way, not me, but some of us do. I paid $900 bills last year in my house before I bought my new house. And the reason I bought my new house is because the other one was so insufficient. Okay? But I guarantee you that these people that you're talking about did not pay $1,000. The guy you just said, $8,000 in usage this year or $8,000 in usage. This year, kilowatts and last year. We had that last year. You notice the pattern.
Yep.
You tell me how much the bill was the last time we hit that pattern.
It was about that. When we looked at it, it was.
No, so it's
And I was rounding again. His bill was about 1,100. The highest one he had the year previous was like 990. And I'll say what I didn't go in and look at too was the water usage because I know he has a pool and a hot tub too. So I was trying to just look at that portion of it.
Honestly, we really do feel like we're being gaslit here.
Well, then go to the city about it. He has opened his door.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. He's offering to help, and that's where I just don't know. I don't know where else we can go.
I don't either, because if you don't have it, you don't have it. You can give us your budget all day long, but we don't have it. We can't do it.
Well, then let's understand why it is the way it is. Sit down with Brian and look at the data and go from there.
hang on, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you. So you are going. So the way.
It's never, ever been.
I think something's wrong. Something's going on.
Ma'am, she had it up first. Go ahead.
Are you gonna offer that averaging or something?
So that's one of the things that we're going to look at. Yes, ma'am. The equal pay, and that's one of the. Thank you.
I mean, you know, if these high bills can get on the averaging, so then it.
So that's one of the things we're looking at. Yes, ma'am. And these new meters that everybody's kibitzing about will allow us to do that a lot more accurately. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am.
I know that we have a policy, I think, that if someone's on oxygen, they have life-sustaining equipment, that we cannot cut off their electricity.
Correct.
Do we have something in place for our seniors, that, just like they're saying,
So.
I don't have enough to pay this bill, can I do something?
So there's absolutely a a payment plan option. There it is twice a year. You can come in and say, hey, I can't pay this now. Here, take me a little over the next 3 weeks, whatever it is. Can I come in and pay more?
Was that recently put in place?
No, sir.
Okay.
Down first, right?
Ma'am, I'd have to go back.
50% of the bill paid first. 50% of 1,000 is 500. And we get paid once a month. We get paid once a month. One check, that's all we get.
Okay. So there are payment plans.
You only get that twice a year.
Yes, ma'am. There is a temperature threshold, both high and low, beyond which we can't disconnect regardless. in order to have the medical, hey, it's life, limb, or eyesight kind of thing, there is a medical doctor. You have to fill out a sheet. You have 30 days to get that sheet filled out. According to state law, that does not absolve you of the bill. You're still responsible for the bill. It just gives you a longer opportunity to pay for it. But yes, ma'am, that's all in the city's policy.
So if we have someone that has an extremely high bill for them, is there a way to prevent the cutoffs from occurring?
So if the individual has a medical issue that is life, limb, or eyesight, I need oxygen. We'll use that because it's easy to pick out. If they need oxygen, then there's a form in the policy. Get the form, have your doctor sign off on the form. You have 30 days. Once you tell us, you have 30 days to bring us that form. We're not going to cut your power off inside those 30 days. Bring that back. Now we're set. Now we create you're not getting it cut off, and we're creating a payment plan.
What if they do not have a medical? They just cannot do it. And my second question was, since my understanding, and I may be incorrect, the cutoffs can occur from the city office. No one has to go out and do it.
So
It should cost relatively nothing to cut that off and turn it back on.
So one of the things we're looking at, and we'll get into this slide, the next slide very quickly. One of the things we're looking at is reducing the disconnect fees to $25. Diamond Net is $25. And that's the cost to have it turned off. It's $25.
I had this occur to me this last.
That's one of the things I'm pushing for. Yes, sir.
I had this happen to me this last month payment for Diamond Net and for the city. I had a scam on my credit card. I had to get a new credit card. I called down. Actually, I tried to do it online, and it wouldn't take me to the place that I needed to go to actually update. So I called, gave them my new credit card number, and then I get a cutoff. So I call back, and they take it, and they said, "Don't worry about it." Then the next day, I get my electric, and it's like you're gonna be late. So I called back down there, and I'm like, "This is my new credit card number. Do you have it?" "No, we're not showing us. I updated it online," and they're saying, "No, we're not showing it." And now here's the deal. I got the text at 4:29.
Which text, ma'am? I'm sorry.
The text telling me that it's gonna be late.
Okay.
I got it at 4:29. I picked up the phone. I called, of course, was closed. So I called the next day, and it's like, "Well, we're gonna have to charge you a late fee." And I explained, I said, "I have never been late on my bill. I tried to call you immediately, but it came in at 4:29. They worked with me. I appreciated that. And I want to say this. I love Sallisaw. I want us to have the best fire department, even if we have to pay them and figure out a way to pay them. I want us to have the best police officers. We have great services here. It costs money. And from what I'm understanding, we're meeting our budget every year, and maybe we're going a little bit excess in one area over the other. Let's look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
We can't have people that, like I said, built this city, have lived here all their lives, and they can't pay these. Amen. So we have to do something.
Yes, ma'am.
So you sent out the tips and tricks, and you want everybody to put their air conditioner on 78 degrees to save on electric. Is all the city buildings on 78 degrees?
My office is on 78 degrees, ma'am. And I've got a fan running.
All the city offices.
How many of you would work in a 78-degree office?
Well, you want to
So I live in a 78-degree house. I work in a 78-degree office. That's my choice. Are you telling me you want all the employees? You say you're going to be miserable at 78, and now you want all the employees to be miserable?
The taxpayers
save money, that would be fine. If you want to save money, put it on 78. Doesn't matter if you got respiratory issues or not, so I think the city offices should be on 78. So we're paying the salary, and we're paying the electric to the city, and we're getting our own electric.
I think it's very understandable that they have to be lower because of the computers and the software that's needed, because if those computers get too hot, then we have absolutely no way.
Come into the server room.
accessing anything.
Don't come into the server room. Okay, so real quick, we've got 2 more slides. The last one is, I'm going to crack open one of these markers and we're going to start writing stuff on the board. Okay. All right, real quick. Why not? Utility cost versus quality of service. We just talked about it. I had a roommate, a college roommate, that actually came up with that last quote. The quality your price demands. And unfortunately, if you think about it outside of utilities, I'd love to be driving a BMW. My price demands a Jeep.
You're not working for GRDA.
I'm not working for GRDA. So
Sometimes within the hour that we have people responding,
yes, ma'am.
that's what we want to keep.
Well, and that's, so I had a discussion with a young lady that was excited about her bill. I said, ma'am, I can lower your electric rates right now. And that if you have a power outage in the evening, one gentleman, right now they're all gentlemen, one gentleman will come out and make sure that line is safe. And then tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, we will come in and try to restore your electricity. The service that we have is extraordinary.
It might be, but you know, there was a survey done in the state of Oklahoma that the finance company did, saying that Sequoia County, of all the counties in Oklahoma, this is the county that has people on the most government check. People here don't make that kind of money to pay these bills. So what do? You're gonna shut off the electricity and you're gonna have to kick them out of their house because they can't live without utilities.
So that's the next slide. Okay. That's the next slide. So the second one, we talked about how to pay for it. I just want to bring this up very, very quickly. Okay. So we talked about OG&E. We talked about somebody coming in here, getting rid of our power company. Let's do it. Get rid of it. OG&E right now, their franchise fee is 3%. To most of their communities, it's between 3 and 4% across the state. They pay their communities 3 and 4% of the total electric bill. Using last year's number, they would have paid the city $395,000. The complexity of this situation, that's a lot of money. Where do we come up with the other 3.7 million that the power company made last year? What goes away? What $3.7 million worth of services do we lose because we do this? So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying I'm trying to relay the complexity of the situation. Just like if we lose it over here, we're losing it over here. Something else has got to come down. Okay, so that's the balancing act that our elected officials also have to do. Absolutely.
The elected officials are not taking care of that problem because we've got lawsuits in this town, not only the police department, because the hospital lawsuits, they'll never be able to become anything.
Hospital's not part of the town, ma'am.
Nobody is doing anything about anything, you're leaving. I have to balance mine every month, if my bill goes up, I say, okay, I have to do this. The city's not doing that.
The city is doing that.
I have a question, Ron. How transparent is your budget review cycle?
Hey, sir, we publish, so all of the budget meetings are with the council are public meetings. They are have agendas and they are advertised just like any other public meeting. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yep. And they receive those. I do my draft letter to them in May of, hey, look, here's your initial presentation, big picture. The budget meetings are toward the end of May, and then we have a conversation and we vote on the budget. Budget has to be passed by the end of June.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, next slide. Is it gonna work? Yes. All right. So idea time. And I will start off by some of the things the city's looking at, this, believe it or not. Now, none of these are written in stone. Again, I don't enact any of these by myself, but to be considered a good idea, it has to be feasible. What does that actually mean? Here's an example. If we want to freeze transfers in the current fiscal year, because I've heard that, freeze the transfers from the SMA, stop, would require a complete budget overhaul of the current year's budget while we're in the middle of doing next year's budget. It's not feasible. I can't do it. Okay? Acceptable. Institute on and off peak pricing. Can't do it. We need about a year's worth of data, or we're guessing, of what on and off peak is. And then I've got to have somebody come in and smart and tell me what the rates actually need to be. Okay. Those AMI meters that not everybody, that some people have problems with, those AMI meters will enable us to do on and off peak pricing. So what I would recommend on this side, standing here today, next year, we need to bake that in. We need to have somebody come in and advise us on and off peak pricing. and do a rate survey just on RFP pricing, very narrow, very focused. What does it need to be? What can it be? Okay? Excuse me, suitable. Does it solve the problem at hand? Handing out ice cream cones to the library isn't going to tackle the problem that we're talking about. So that's not, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe not at 8 o'clock at night, but it sounds like a good idea, but it's not suitable. Okay? Complete. We just talked about it. Sell it to OG&E. Okay? Where's the other $4 million coming from? What else?
A
Okay.
couple of things that,
Yes, sir.
at near, the problem near at hand, it's right in front of us.
Mhm.
You're doing these things. I just want to get them out there and recapture it as a capstone
Yes, sir.
for verification. You've opened your door. You've personally offered to sit down with somebody who has an extremely high bill and help them understand why. And I commend you for that. I would also ask you to expedite, and you're probably already doing this, the initiative to get the public, the consumer, the data, the app, that they can look at their electrical usage by the hour, by the day. Because it's very simple right now. If you go out and shut that power breaker off at the main, and that meter's still spinning, there's a problem, okay? Other than that, unless the meter's wrong, and you said it, or unless the usage is high, it's one of those two.
Yes, sir.
So that's very clear, and you've done a good job of explaining that. So I would encourage anybody that has $1,000 bill to get with him and understand why. It's not gonna get solved on Facebook, and it's not gonna get solved here tonight.
That's right.
How much time do you have? Because there's a whole lot of us.
I'll be glad to help you.
Ma'am,
A whole lot
I
of us.
can't have you help me. It is private information. It's 8 o'clock. I don't have to be here until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I heard you say twice that it can't be done, that we can't do it, right? Going through this, you said,
Mhm.
we can't do it. I've said that to you twice now. We can't do it. So where does that leave us?
There's the
You
impasse.
can't do it, and we
There's-
can't do it.
So, ma'am, that's so as we talk about complex problems, there's the impasse. If I can't do it, I would arguably say we can't get out from under GRDA, quote unquote. Okay? You're saying we can't afford to pay the price. Okay. So I can't get out from under GRDA. You say get out from under GRDA. It can't happen. So what else is another solution? Ma'am?
Is the city looking at cutting any expense? If you cut expenses, you don't need as much profit.
Correct.
And that's why I asked about the
So-
budget.
Cutting any expenses.
So we are looking at budgets. We are looking at how to cut budgets. Okay, I've challenged our brokers, that's what they are, the brokers. They're, sorry, I gotta stay close. The health benefits brokers, I've challenged them to come at us, give me options that lower our costs. Okay,
Even simple things like, you look at the credit cards, is there stuff people are buying that maybe they don't?
yes, ma'am.
I mean,
So I'm with you.
it's like.
So I've got
Temperature here 1 or 2 degrees, cut the electric down. I mean, that's what we have to do. It's like, do I get medicine this month or do I take my electric?
so
Guess which one gets done?
So when we talk about things like that, are people spending money they're not supposed to, or in a gray area? So I'm not going to say it's illegal. Are they spending money when they're at a trip, when they're at training that they're not supposed to? Are they exceeding the daily allowance for food? Are those are what I call littles? Are we paying 100 licenses for a piece of software and we haven't purged the system? We should only be paying for 70 licenses or 60 licenses. So as I put a chart on my board, listed those things out, took a swag. Absolutely a swag at the cost that I would save getting those down to where we're looking at maybe $1 million, maybe $1.5 million. Okay. Sounds like a lot. Sounds huge. When you look at the expanse of our budget, it is a lot of money.
$4 million from electric, if you saved $1.5 million somewhere else, you don't need.
I have a solution.
Sir,
Go back to what the woman suggested that you raise it.
They've already exceeded that.
I know they have. That's what I say. If they just go back to what she said, it would lower it quite a bit.
They would stop
Go-
paying now.
go back to what? I'm sorry. Go back to what?
The woman that, y'all had to do the study, that
The
told
woman
me.
from GRDA.
Yeah.
GRTA or whatever.
No, she was an independent contractor.
Well, just go back to what she suggested.
This is what she
No,
suggested.
it is
He
not what she
wasn't
suggested.
here when they
I was on
decided,
the water.
they decided back there not to let you.
So on ideas,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure what the city benefits are, but it sounds like if they make good salaries.
They do.
Maybe not the best salaries, but a good salary for someone.
are we paying all of their benefits or are they paying a portion?
So that is one of the things, when I came into town, I came from a different community. And I'll give you, for instance, the community was willing to pay, let's just say $1,000 for your medical insurance. If you picked a plan that was higher than that, that came out of your pocket. If you picked a plan that was lower than that, you got a little bit of money back in your pocket. The city was willing to pay $1,000. So let's, for argument's sake, say there was an A, B, C, let's just keep it simple, A, B, and C plan. The city was paying for B. We pay A. The city pays for A. Because my lowest employee is earning $11 an hour. Okay? So again, we go back to the comment that for everybody that says you guys are making a crap ton of money, I've got somebody else saying you're not paying your people anything. So for the folks who think we're not paying our people anything, how do I keep a young individual who's coming in? I point to benefits. I encourage my supervisors to point at benefits, the retirement plan. Now it takes a while, and God love them. Some of these young guys and gals are like, hey, doesn't mean anything to me. Don't care. Don't have a 40-year outlook on life. And that's fine. But in order to retain them, in order to bring them in, and I'll tell you right now, our wages in the city are not high enough to attract talent. Nobody's moving to Sallisaw to work for the city. I'm a bad example. Please don't take me as an example. Okay.
And I'll say there was a big cultural shift. We had this discussion the other day. When you have used to people knew they weren't quite making as much working for the city, but they knew they had that lifetime retirement, they had good insurance, and they wanted to be in the community. People don't care anymore. And that's the sad part. New hires want to know how much they're gonna make tomorrow. They don't care anything about any of the benefits, but there's a requirement to offer those benefits. So that we still have the cost in that. That person making $11 an hour, if they're full-time and they're qualified for benefits, yeah, that, use 2,000 hours a year or whatever. That person's making 22, 23,000, 24,000 a year. Well, you also got to add in your 7.65% city has to pay for the tax portion, then all their health insurance. So that, it looks like they're making 22, 23,000. That's costing the city 35. And Ms. Gay mentioned a while ago that the county was spending 6.3 million. She said 6.3. That's salaries only. That's no benefits. So you add in all the benefit costs in there. They're probably, I bet you they're up closer to 10 as well.
But that's for the entire county.
I understand that, but they also don't have the same type of employees. They don't have linemen. There's a lot of different jobs within the county. I do understand what you're saying. And there's also some different cost sharing that goes on there too, that is a little bit different. But
So have we considered if someone, say, is insured under a spouse or has Indian Health Services, that instead of offering that, they can opt out?
So that's one of the things I've asked my brokers to look at is if we can offer lower plans, and that young man, young woman, or middle-aged that, hey, my wife's a teacher, I don't need your insurance. Okay, I have to insure you, Obamacare, thank you very much. But you take the lowest thing we offer, and I'll split the cost with you.
So there's no opt out?
No, you can't be out. I'm the employer, I can't opt out.
The state does that.
To my knowledge, we cannot opt out.
But I
the
think
employee can opt out.
Yeah,
Right, the employee, that's what.
but I have to offer it.
You have to offer.
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
but can they opt,
They can, why would they opt out?
They're gonna get it.
So
But
what
for
I'm
you,
saying,
just like you said, it is instant gratification, and you say, I will give you $150, 200 additional in your paycheck. If you should choose not to take it,
Mhm.
you're covered and you opt out, they'll take it. It is instant gratification.
oh, yes, ma'am. No, so that's the
Until they
concept.
go do their taxes and they get the penalty for not having health insurance.
No, they have health
They're,
insurance.
they're covered. They're covered under as a
I
dependent.
think it's like years.
Yeah. No, man, that's the crux of what I've challenged my brokers to offer me is give me a lower price or opt out completely, and I will split the difference with you. So if your insurance plan costs the city $1,000, I'll give you 500. The city just saved 500.
Why do 500? Go.
So then there's no benefit to them. They will take the insurance, and it'll cost me all $1,000.
Doing it and giving them $150 a month. So
Ma'am,
I can't see a city employee.
I'm using an example.
Okay,
I'm using, because it costs way more than $1,000 to insure a health, to insure an employee, okay? Like you said, our benefits are about 40%. Your salary plus 40% is what that costs you, okay? And 13% of that is retirement. So the other, whatever that is, 27% is all benefits, health benefits, okay? All right, let me keep going. Lady mentioned it. This is actually something we're looking at. I'm going to put an asterisk by equal pay because I know it doesn't reduce overall the amount of money that you're paying. It reduces it monthly. And I'll use an example. Somebody showed me a bill today, or excuse me, a couple days ago, that was $330 on equal pay. If they missed their late payment, because then you get kicked off of equal pay, with a late fee was $245 because they used so much less electricity, but it spiked and their equal pay was way higher.
Why can't we do away with late fees and reconnect fees and disconnect fees?
I'm reducing, so it absolutely makes sense. If all I have to do is push a button, instead of sending somebody out to your house to pull your meter, absolutely we can reduce the disconnect fee. That's a no-brainer. Yes, ma'am. Equal pay rate study.
I think you need to take your budget cycle and, you know, it's easy to throw rocks. I'm sitting on the outside of the glass house here. But, you're talking about each of these departments submitting their budget number to you as a manager. I think each one of them needs to be taking a really hard look at. And I've been in a budgeting position. And I know it's not fun. Okay, I get it.
So
And I don't know what level that's happening now. I guess that's what I'm asking for.
So let's take a let me caveat what I'm about ready to say. All of my directors are outstanding people.
Yes,
All of them have been here at least 20 years.
I'm not doubting.
Okay.
But
So,
they're
but
doing what they
hang on.
did
Yes.
the year
So-
before, and the year before, and the year before, and they're simply adding cost of inflation,
So
puts and
let-
takes. I'm talking bare bones, get back down to it, roll up your sleeves and look at what the hell needs to change.
So if I may. So it is a culture shift for them to look into it. What they are used to is this is what I want. And it's gotten so bad as I didn't even put that because I challenged a couple. I say, hey, last year you asked for this year you're not. What's the problem? I challenged them this year. I said, hey, you want this year, but it wasn't on your request list last year. Why? Because I'm looking out 4 and 5, 10 years out. Why? So it's going to take time to change that culture.
If you're there, I commend you.
It's
If you're not, I encourage you.
what I'm saying is it takes time to shift the culture dramatically,
It does.
and that's what I'm working on. Okay?
That's fair.
I'm not there yet, but I'm not where I started. Okay? They are used to, I want these 15 things. And then sitting back and say, you figure out which one I get
Right,
or if.
right.
And that's what I'm challenging them now. In fact, one of the changes, and please, I'm not patting myself on the back. One of the changes that we brought to last year's budget study was, hey, it's not the city manager standing up here and saying, hey, we want these 15 things and here's the order and this is what they mean. Because there wasn't none of this, this is what they mean. Here's what we recommend.
They gotta get upset. That's
The
correct.
directors get up and justify it. Here's what I want. Here's how much it costs. Here's the risk if I don't get it.
That's great.
Okay, and they lay that out, and that informs the council, in my opinion only, a little better than we had been doing it, so that they can make more of an informed decision. And what we do, again, I'm going to say historically, last year, what we did last year is the first day we do hey, here's how the city comes up with a budget. It's going to make your head hurt, eyes roll back in your head. That's where my accountants actually get up and talk. Okay, and we talk about certain funds, whether they're restricted, unrestricted, bonds, all that crap. Okay, then we go into a laundry list of, hey, this is what everybody wanted. This is the risk. This is what we want. Equipment, projects. We have millions of dollars in deferred maintenance that right now there is no plan for. There's no money for. Millions of dollars in deferred maintenance. I have bare laid electric wire over on Doris Drive that's been there for 30 to 40 years. We got to do something.
I get it. You
Yeah.
can't run a weed eater up and down Main. Okay.
Exactly.
I see
So,
where you're at.
So what we've done, then what we do at the end of day one, you all have heard it, council members, you all have heard it. This is what we recommend. Oh, by the way, here's the cut line. This is what we can afford. Now, I will use afford in quotes. Everybody's going to have a different opinion of what afford is, but that's what we spend the whole first part of the morning getting to, is this is why this is the number that we can afford. Now, getting there's a process. I got it. There's room for improvement, and everybody's going to have a different opinion. But we draw a cut line. And I told them last year, I said, gentlemen, it was all gentlemen, cut line can't move. We can move stuff up and down, but the cut line can't move. Can't. So this is what we recommend. I think there were 3 things that we did last year above the cut line. This is what we recommend. Do you agree or dis? And then we leave it that night. I told him, I said, what I need you to do is come in here with your sumo wrestling pants on tomorrow, and we're going to wrestle over if those are the right 3 things that we're going to spend money on this year. They came in, we did a little bit of wrestling, and that was it. Those 3 things are what we did. Hang on, sir. I got you. This year it's going to be pretty close. Because what I'm hearing from everybody, and what I'm sure the counselors will continue to hear, is you need to cut. Okay? So where does that line go? Okay? And if you think about it, what's inflation? 2.2 was 2.7, 2.434, 2.4. Okay? So even if we reduce it by 2.4, we're not making any money.
Right.
We're not helping ourselves at 2.4.
So instead of looking at everywhere we cut, which
Mhm.
we should, where can we increase to take some heat off of these electric bills? Where are we not
Tax base.
getting
So
money?
here's it. So remember, the city only gets, that's why we start out. The city gets money through, they get a little bit of money comparatively. 2.5 million is nothing to joke about. It's nothing to sneeze at that. You get 2.5 in grants. Okay. But we make money, the city makes money off of revenue from utilities and taxes and income tax, sorry, sales tax. Sales tax right now is 9.917%.
Can I
Okay,
ask if
go ahead.
what would be our better option? And because the grocery tax, go beyond it, increasing the sales tax versus increasing the electric bills?
Ma'am, this is just me. And remember, I don't get a vote. I would always recommend an increase in sales tax. However, sales tax has to be passed by a vote of the people. Has to be put on the ballot by 10% of the registered voters, not the number of people who voted, but the registered voters at the time of the last election. And then it has to be approved by the vote of the people. Okay? The offset for a sales tax, hang on a minute. The offset, so here's why sales tax makes a lot of sense. Okay? We need, quote unquote, we need X amount of money. I can either get it off of my residents, or I can get it off of everybody that visits, everybody that buys stuff, everybody that visits, et cetera, et cetera. There is a tipping point where you tax yourself out of competition. And I'll use an example of Durant. Durant was 9.5 when I was there, 9.75, something like that. If I was making a major purchase, I was going to Denison and Sherman, Texas. Okay, especially here. If Van Buren and Fort Smith weren't 9.7 and 9.6 or 9.5, we'd have a heck of a lot more what we call leakage. When it comes to economic development, we call it leakage. Folks going over there to spend it because taxes are cheaper. So there's a tipping point where we're making money and then we're losing money because our taxes are so high, because our income tax is so, or sales tax is so high. Sorry.
That's not all us.
No.
Just so-
You saw we got 4.
Ours is what,
4% or 4 cents. 4 cents. Yeah.
Citizens are putting more into utility costs, guess what, they're not gonna be buying.
Yes, ma'am.
Our sales tax is gonna go down.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, ma'am. And there is some booger eating smart stuff that's got to go on when you talk about how much you lower rates. If you lower rates, how are people going to use more, or are they going to save more? If they save more because the rates went down, are they going to spend more? So your tax increase is going to go up, or excuse me, your tax revenue is going to go up. There's a lot of smart folks that got to get together and figure out where those numbers are, and that I can go find them, but it ain't me.
I would never vote, and I don't have a vote yet, but I'm going to in a month. I would never vote for us to go above a 10% tax rate.
I agree.
And we're basically there now, so we're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Now, some of those other,
Our
bonds can take off.
We are.
There's always those projects that are funded by those bonds. So, I mean, it's a tough scenario. School district's gonna be, here, probably this fall or something. They've got their bond paid off. They're gonna be asked to renew it. It won't be a raise on property taxes, but they're gonna ask to renew it. I know how people are. That's gonna be a tough go just to get one renewed.
It will be very good.
And I hope we get it
Awesome.
renewed, but yeah.
Sir? Hang on, that was a.
Go back to PCAs and
maybe I missed it.
Yes, sir.
So, I've got my electric bills back to 2009. I even got a letter that says, hey, PCA is going to be increased by GRDA, but it was never a separate line item on any of the electric bills until, and you may not even say this is PCA, but back in 2021, there was an epic winter storm. GRDA gets their gas from a gas company. That gas company had to curtail gas going to paper mills down in Valiant. They got enough to keep the lines warm, but had to keep customers, so the pilots didn't go out, you know, they're on gas heat. Anyway, I look at it as a fuel surcharge. GRDA at that point then said, hey, we've got to put on this adder to our electric bill. It was called a CPVA. Started off at 20%. They said it wasn't gonna last forever, and it was related to gas price. You know, you got supply and demand. It got to $6 per cubic foot, or anyway.
Yes, sir.
It came back down.
Mhm.
It had gotten to where it was only a 3% adder prior to August 2024. All of a sudden, that designation went off, and now it is a PCA. 20% just went up. I just want to know why it never was a line item. Now it is, and 20%, it's been a constant 20%. Is what that PCA legal? Have we asked? The reason I even asked that, I used to sell chemicals to paper companies. All the chemicals I sold was a delivered price, but in 2008, gas went skyrocket. I go to the customers, hey, they were understanding, just like we are, just like a fuel surcharge. But as gas prices went low, my company was a little slow at reducing the fuel surcharge. Customers are now bitching at me. All of a sudden, we were able to get rid of it.
Yeah,
So all I'm asking is,
What am I doing? Paying my
is
bill.
PCA, 20%, one, why was it all of a sudden in 2024 in August, now it's 20%, and it's stayed between 19 and 25% since that time? And was it legal for them to do, or why is there a line item all of a sudden?
Why aren't
Okay,
we as a
so-
city getting with the other cities that are in the same situation and taking it to GRDA at the political level and at the business level at the same time?
That is one of my, and I've said it to them. This is Brian Heverly's, not the city of Sallisaw. This is Brian Heverly's opinion. There are 13. Yeah, I know the new mayor's like, oh Lord, here we go. There are 13 board members on GRDA.
And they make
There is
a decision
one.
PCA every month.
There is one community representative on that board,
Yeah.
but we represent about 49% of the revenue. I have an issue with that. I personally have an issue with that. I have brought that up, and have been told there's some kind of liability issue with having an untrained or a non-professional on the board. Do I buy that? Not really, because there are plenty of well, there's plenty of public works type guys and gals across those 17 that I would argue are professional. But their point, I believe, and I'm absolutely putting words in their mouth, we can't afford liability wise to have any more than one layperson on the board at a time.
Wow, that's just.
I-
I'm sorry.
That now, if you give them the benefit of the doubt, which it sounds like absolutely nobody wants to do, but if you give them the benefit of the doubt, that's an issue that we have with them with their insurance company. And then although
doing anything to ask them what we citizens are asking you to do, because you're their customer.
oh yes sir,
So are you pressuring GRDA?
I had Brian set up a meeting, we had a meeting with a couple of people from GRDA a couple of Fridays ago, and I wanted some clarification on some things. I wanted to know if we could hedge our costs, the same way they hedge their nat gas costs and things, and, I wanted to know if we could participate in that. We give y'all $250,000 and buy down our PCA to cap it, so we know exactly, what are our options here? it was, it was different than I learned some things. It was a little bit different on. Are you gonna
So,
answer his
yes, sir.
question?
Yeah. So I think, sir, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong. You're looking at your city bill and seeing a CPBA versus a PCA.
So it used to not even be a line item.
Right.
It was a PCA, but
Mhm.
I assumed it was put into the electric line item. That's fine. And then in 2021 was that.
Winter Storm Uri.
CPBA, or yeah.
Mhm.
That did drift down to about 3%, which gas prices were also going down. Understood all that. But that was taken off in August 24.
August 24.
September 24, my bill, now it's a PCA, and it's 20%.
So,
That's
go-
what I'm asking.
Go ahead, sir.
You know the,
So I know roughly. If you know the exact answer, I'll defer to you.
you go first.
Okay. So there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things to talk about around 2021, right? There's Winter Storm Uri. Okay. There was a storm charge. OG&E. I was an OG&E. I wasn't here in 21. I wasn't in Durant in 21. But I got to get my bill. What is this crap? I wasn't here. Why am I still paying for it? It's a winter charge. The GRDA was going to ask the city to pay 1.9, I believe it was 1.9, 1.8 million dollars. That's our portion of the storm. The city paid that out of pocket, out of the reserve, out of the cash reserve that we keep on hand. The city paid that out of pocket. The citizens of Sallisaw never paid a storm charge. Okay. What you said is absolutely accurate. Companies started charging fuel costs, and OG&E still calls it a fuel cost. They don't call it a PCA, it's a fuel cost. They charge, the city started, GRDA started charging that fuel charge. The city turned around and it has had numerous incarnations. It was like you said, it was a CPBA. I believe if you look for a couple months, it was a PCAX or a PCAX. In 2024, and to make a long story short, the PCA cost was always there. We just pulled it out in parts and pieces differently. The CPBA, as I understand it, included part of the PCA, but some of the PCA was still included in the base cost that we were paying. In 24, we decided, screw it, which again, public high school, public college education, that's where I would have started. If they're charging me a fixed amount and I can look at it and see it, then it's real easy just to say it's a pass through and be completely transparent with it. That's what happened in August of 24 is the city decided to change what they call a PCA and what it is, how much it is, and then started passing it straight through. So it was like we saw in some of those charts, it was like 26 cents or 2 cents. It was well over 3, approaching 4 cents a kilowatt hour when they first came on. Absolutely.
That was normal across the
Yeah.
industry. We've had a bunch of, or I've had a bunch of questions about their PCA being so much lower. What they did was just raise the kilowatt per hour cost and then kept the PCA charge at 4 to 5%.
Yeah.
It's the same, really close when you add them all together and divide it out to kilowatt hour. They just closed it differently. And that's what they chose to do on their last increase. They increased higher on the kilowatt per hour and reduced it.
Yeah. So I can't speak for every company. I know what we have done is we've pulled it all out. We pull it. It's at a direct pass through. I can show you on the December bill what they charged us, and I can show you on your bill what we charged you, plus the 10% that we talked about. Sir.
Yeah, hey, just curious on this ideal time right here, is this kind of like the golden rule, what you use for ideas, suggestions, solutions? Don't you ask yourself these questions? Is this kind of the baseline of?
So, sir, I'm gonna let you peek behind the curtain a little bit. This is military talk. Every course of action in the military has to be feasible, acceptable, suitable, complete, and they actually say distinguishable as well because they can't be the same thing.
Right.
So this is
baseline.
absolutely. This is what I lived for 25 years, so this is familiar with me, and I tried to civilianize it for you.
Well, this is
I hope.
good. This is good.
But that's how I do it. I can't say how it's been done in the past. This is how I do it, and this is what I describe myself as a how guy to the council. That's how they hired me. I'm not a what guy. I can provide you courses of action. I can provide you recommendations, but they determine what happens. I determine, as much as they'll let me, I determine how it happens. Okay? So when I say if we go through another rate study, we're going to have town halls. We're going to say, hey, first of all, the council just approved the idea to go through a rate study. What do we want to look at? What are the left and right limits? Another military term, sorry. What are the left and right limits of this rate study? Do we want to look at on and off peak pricing? Depending on timeline. It would do us not a whole heck of a lot of good to do it this year. We'd have to do it next year. So what do we look at for a rate study? What do we want? What do we think we want? A senior rate. Getting back to complexity. If we have a senior rate and we don't change the demand on the other side, because it's all about supply and demand, right? If we don't change the demand on the other side, we got to come up with the same supply. We're just going to spread that out over folks who aren't seniors. Okay? So if I need, bear with me, if I need $4 million and my senior discount costs $300,000, where's that other $300,000 coming from? Everybody else. Unless we can find a way to offset that by $300,000 somewhere. Okay? That's
Are the city offices, are they digital? Are we still running on paper?
it is a significant mix.
So are we looking at that? Because that is a.
Ma'am, I will tell you, coming out of the military, we have said that every year since I got in the military. And we never, that was 25 years, and we say we're going to a digital office. They never got to a digital office. There are things that we have to do that can't be in digit. It has to be manually in writing by state law. I mean, if you just, Brian's opinion only, the fact that we have to publish stuff in a newspaper, come on. I mean, and I'm absolutely not talking bad about the newspaper. Our newspaper's great, but it seems kind of archaic that we have to do that still.
And what about contracts?
Or at least online.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, contracts. What about?
Contracts outside of what we have. We have a parks department, we have.
So we have to compete the contracts depending on the price of the contract, depends on how far it gets competed. So for instance, a construction contract that's under $100,000, I can compete that locally right here, put bids out and take local bids. If it's over $100,000, I have to put that out statewide.
Right. And if it's not met, then it's on a chopping block, right?
Sort of. So when we put a contract out for bid, we have what I lovingly refer to as a government estimate. Okay, so I have a consultant. That's what happened with the soccer fields. I had a consultant come in, design them. These are the folks who design the project for us and say, okay, here it is. We think it's going to cost $500,000. We put out the bids, or we put it out for bid. This is what we want. The lowest bid for that $500,000 project was $1.2 million. So that is, as I understand it, that's what happened in the aquatic center. It was pitched, 2 big slides, dive tank, all this stuff. It's only going to cost us whatever was advertised. They put out the bids. It comes in millions of dollars over. So we start cutting. Ma'am, I can't.
I mean, that's something you have to look at.
I would argue they
What I pay
were lawful.
today for a loaf of bread,
Mhm.
maybe 50% more next week. And that's on us. I mean, we just need to say it. That's on us. We messed up on that.
Oh, man, that's part of the bid. If they come in cheaper than somebody local, that's part of the bid.
Cheaper, it might be cheaper, but they're using it, they gotta pay in wages, they gotta pay in everything else, it comes out, and we're getting less for our money.
Man, when it comes to contracts, we are allowed to take the best value. Okay, it's not lowest bidder anymore. We're allowed to take best value. But the first thing we look at is cost. So if you come in and you're local and you're going to charge me $4 million, but I got somebody from Arkansas that's only going to charge me $2 million, that's where I'm going.
My question really pertained to, are we utilizing the staff that we have on hand
Oh, absolutely.
before we look at contracting
Yes, ma'am.
anything else?
So now when you talk about staff on hand, there's a balance. Okay, I want to do this project with our streets crew, or I want to do this project with our parks crew. Okay, the street crew is a better one. Let me use our water and sewer distro guys. Okay, I want to replace the water line down Elm Street because, oh, by the way, it's broken 4 out of the past 5 years. This year it didn't break, but for the past 4 years they've had to patch this water line. My question when I got here is, why in God's name haven't we replaced this? Money and time. So I'm going to tear up Elm Street with my own folks, with city folks. When I say mine, I mean the city's folks. I'm going to do that. We're going to do it cheaper with our folks. It's going to take me 3 times as long. Because you know what happens? And that gets to that value. Okay, is it worth it for us to do it that cheap if it's gonna take us 3 times as long? I've got my folks out here working. Those are the exact same folks that now have to pull off the job to go fix a water main break. Go off the job to stand knee deep in crap somewhere because your sewer backed up or because the sewer backed up. So those are the same crews. So for instance, I had these guys before the last storm running an auger, basically an auger from the feed store all the way up to Cody Lane to try to figure out why that stretch is backing up and causing us issues. It took them over a week and a half, and they still haven't put a camera in it because every time they make progress, hey, we got this manhole or this manhole cleaned up, we had to pull off and go do this. This manhole, we got pulled off to go do this. That's the downside to using city workers to do it. So my streets guys, hey, we need to build. God love the commission, love to give me a call. Brian, I got this complaint. Come out here. I come out, we look at it, hey, we need a head wall on the edge of this street to make the intersection just a little bit wider, right? Because people are driving off into the ditch. Okay, we come out, we start doing that, form it up. That's the same crew that digs out the ditches. So when somebody calls in and puts in a work order and says, hey, I need my drainage dug out, that's the exact same crews. So it may take a week or 2 to get to you because they're in the middle or they're stacked up. So that when we talk about projects, and I use, for instance, we're doing a sewer replacement up on Quail Ridge. We're contracting that out because a contractor coming in here to get that done in a week, it would take us months. Sure.
This is kind of off of
Yeah.
the topic, but you mentioned the drains.
Mhm.
We've been in our place 5 years. I put in to request for them to come out to clean out the culvert or whatever we call it.
Give me your address after we're done.
They just come out and run over the pressure washer.
Pressure
through it,
washer and then left.
And then you're back to the same issue.
Give me your address.
And then the lady across from us, the whole entire yard is flooded completely. And she's an elderly lady. She should not have to deal with that.
Give me your address.
But
I'll come
whenever
out
you try for it, and we've had to call back multiple times to try to get them to help us.
Hey.
I like you, man.
Since
You
when-
did a good job.
when my
We
job-
do appreciate this, because you're
Yeah.
opening the door and you're allowing us to speak.
So leave me with your address and I will come out and look at it. If I can find time tomorrow, I got pool issues tomorrow, but let me, not
The
mine.
lady
the
across
city.
from us, she really needs help, because it's at the point that it floods all the way under her house.
Absolutely. Okay, any other giant earth-shaking ideas? Let me run you real quick. Solar, we talked about that already. Reduce kick and disconnect, we talked about that already. Senior rates, that'd be on Medicaid too, or Medicare, the one that's not automatic at 65, okay? Because, who was it? There are folks that built this town that don't need a freaking discount.
Say that again.
I said, there are folks that built this town that don't need a discount. Fair? So, an app portal, heard it?
Yes.
We are sitting down, actually, I told my IT guy to make an appointment with the gentleman for not next week, but the week after. I'm guessing that app portal is gonna cost $30,000 to $50,000, which may be one of the reasons why it wasn't included in the original plan. Don't know. Equal pay, we talked about it with the young lady who sat up here. My question to my staff is, why can't we go back to equal pay? So we're taking a look at that. Rate study, we already talked about that, and sales tax. You heard the new mayor talk about sales tax. There's absolutely a trade-off. You look at 10%, I will tell you, Google it. There are counties and cities that have combined 11.5% sales tax in this state. To give us a ranking, I think we did this the other day, and forgive me, I don't have it in front of me. I think we're like 444th in the state. Sounds like a lot. 40th, anyway. We're actually on the lower side. There's a lot of communities that have 10, 10 and a half, 10 and a quarter, 10, so there is precedent. Is there a desire to do it? And I would argue that those places that have higher percentages are around Oklahoma City, around Tulsa, and in the interior of the state. We go much higher than 10%, we're going to have a whole heck of a lot of leakage. And there absolutely is a trade-off between how much that offsets the cost of other things and how much we lose based off a higher sales tax. Ma'am.
So on the seniors, they have to be on Medicaid in order to.
It's the one that's salary controlled.
Yeah, Medicaid. So you
Yeah.
have seniors that are like $100 or $200, they don't qualify for that, but they're struggling
So-
with that.
So the question, Medicaid's the easy,
But if
put the
they
pin.
qualify for Medicaid, they generally qualify for other health too. It's the ones that are just above the threshold
What I'm saying is that is an easily identifiable, provable threshold without me having to just look at your W-2s. Okay? I'm not saying that's the threshold. I'm saying that's an easy one to pick because it's already set. It's federally.
If they qualify for Medicaid, they usually qualify for other
Yep,
entities, so we're just
I-
above it.
I got it.
Right on that.
So the question then is, what's the threshold? Is it Medicaid plus $500? Medicaid plus $20? Medicaid plus $1,000? I don't know.
Medicaid gets all their state.
Sure.
They get help with their rent,
Well, we're talking about that they don't.
they get help with their bill.
What we're talking about in here is that they don't, and they're choosing between medicine and rent.
Most of them are on Medicaid.
They're not on Medicaid, they're the ones that's above that threshold.
So again, if it's not Medicaid, which is a federally identified, easily pointed at threshold, what is it? What is it?
Look at your poverty level.
But then to poverty level, now you're bringing me your financial information to validate that you're at that poverty level. Do you want that? I don't want that. No, so I don't want that. I personally don't want to have to ask you for your tax returns to determine whether or not you're under the poverty level.
People cut off electricity because they cannot afford it. We have to figure out something. Quit disconnecting and reconnecting and charging us so
And they
much.
shouldn't have to go to Catholic Charities to ask for.
That's our.
Okay, so
I've heard about that, and it's very I know you didn't say it, but it's very callous.
to do what? I'm sorry.
Telling people if they were, about to have their electricity cut off to go to Catholic Charities.
That is an option.
Yeah, but that's very callous.
Actually, it's
So-
not, because that is a resource that a lot of people take advantage of, and saying that that's callous, you're really kind of, those people, and that's not very nice.
So
No, that's
so
not,
Ca-
that's not what I'm saying.
Catholic
I'm saying
Charities is
just to say.
no, sir. Catholic Charities.
Catholic-
I'm sorry.
Catholic Charities is one of the resources that we point people to.
Yeah.
Catholic Charities, Cherokee Nation, Salvation Army. We have a list of resources that we point people towards. When it comes,
1 month, and then the next month they're hit with another one, but they've got a $500 balance from the month before, so now we're 1,500 in the hole before we even get started.
so
We
ma'am,
can only go down to the Salvation Army how many times? We can't go every month. We can't do it every month, but every month we can't pay our bill.
so it comes down to what do we do about the bill? If the
Exactly.
rates are
Like
too
we
high,
did, we're at a standstill.
or do we look-
You say it can't be done, we say
I
it
didn't-
can't be done, so where does that leave us?
ma'am, I didn't say it can't be done. I'm saying it's extraordinarily difficult.
Can, I mean, addressing that high bills.
Hmm?
Instead, I mean, can the city council not come up with like a resolution for like, if you get a high bill, say we did like 1 month, it just all of a sudden, boom. Someone come and see what the bill is and not cut someone's electric bill.
So,
off because, you know,
I will tell
a
you from
solution.
personal experience. Personal experience. I've been in people's attics in this town, and they don't give a rat, pardon my French, they don't give a rat's ass. It's still my problem. It's still the city's problem. When they have rafters and 2x4s and there's that much insulation in it, it's my problem. It's the city's problem.
I'm not talking about like
So that's
constant, I'm talking about like 1 month is.
well, no. It spiked. It spiked. It was 72 degrees on December 25th. It was 12 on January 25th. If you don't change anything, if you don't touch your thermostat, your bill is going to be astronomical. I would argue, now this is just me, anecdotally, driving through the neighborhoods in February, look at how many window unit air conditioners are still in the windows. Nobody's using air conditioning in February, but the window unit's still in the air. And so I've got 72, maybe it's 66 degrees. 66 on 1 degree of a thin piece of plastic and 12 degrees on the other side of the piece of plastic. So those tips and tricks, absolutely, the timing of it was bad,
72-year-old
but
women
nothing-
can take the air conditioners out.
so is that the city's responsibility?
They've been in those windows for
Ma'am,
20 years.
Is that the city's responsibility to come in and remove that window unit?
We're not asking you to
We're
do
not
that.
asking
Yes, you
to do that,
are.
But you're saying.
You're saying, I'm telling you that their usage is based off of something that I can point at. That thing is in the window. Why is that thing in the window? Ma'am,
It's
sir,
never happened before. They've never had that problem before.
That's not gaslighting. We paid the same bills last year, we paid with the same air
Ma'am, you-
conditioner in the same window.
That's the point
One
I'm
of the
trying to
things
make.
that I would like to see. is
90% of the time, that's not true.
We didn't know it's not. It's absolutely true.
Ma'am,
It's 100% true.
it is not 100% true, and I will sit down and show you. I can lay out examples. I'm not going to put their business out there, but 90% of the people, 90% of the properties I look at, they are absolutely cyclical within 100 kilowatts of each other.
What I'm trying to say is that it's the exact same thing it was the year before. It's the exact same thing.
Ma'am,
But the bill is a whole hell of a lot.
ma'am, I'm telling you, it's not. It's within $100.
No. I got stacks of 'em.
Okay,
I have
okay.
stacks of 'em.
Ma'am, we're not going to agree. We're not going to agree. Everything that I've looked at, some of those $1,200 bills that people put the corner on, that's 2 months worth.
Gaslighting.
That's too much.
I use
Sir,
200
I said some.
less.
I said
My bill is
some.
70.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Ma'am, when's the last time the city of Sallisaw had this many people come out to confront them over a decision they made? How many years ago?
Ma'am, 2
was
years
that
ago?
Before that happened?
That decision was made 2 years ago, ma'am.
When?
In
It was
August,
made 2 years ago.
September
Right?
24.
We were aware of it when we got hit with it. But my question is, when is
Okay.
the last time the city of Sallisaw had this many residents come at them?
Ma'am, I can't. It hasn't
We're
happened.
not all wrong.
It hasn't happened in the last 15 months that I've been here.
You weren't here, but we were. We were.
So, again, so we're upset now over something that was done over 2 years ago.
Without our knowledge,
Ha-
without our vote, without our voice.
Sir, did you know this was happening 2 years ago?
I did, and I fought it the whole time.
Okay,
What good does it do?
ma'am,
What good does it do? But look what's happening right now. We're
That's
here
why,
telling you
that's
we
why.
Ma'am,
I called
and that-
the
Did
cities
you guys talk to
And
the
I said
commissioner
to that
before? What
board,
did he say before?
deal that she put on for 3 hours.
Yep.
Listening to what
What
was
did he
go
say
through
before
it,
when you took
they
your
went back
resources?
and
and they
changed it.
changed it. Yep.
Take the bigger cafeterias. That's what it said. That's what the county commissioner told me.
City.
That's
did.
what he
City
said.
commissioner. I'm sorry.
Yes. That's what you, oh, I thought you meant him. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
That's what I was.
Ma'am, there's
That's what he told us.
so there's
a reason we're out in the numbers that we're out, okay? It's not because we're trying to just bitch at you. It's because we're scared.
Can we do an
We're
education?
scared. We're gonna lose our homes. And you're telling us you can't do anything about it? You guys are the people we.
whoa.
voted to do
Hang on,
something
ma'am.
about
Hang
it.
on, hang on. I'm saying I personally cannot do anything about it. I don't vote on the.
The council can, the council did it wrong the first time, they can go back and fix it and make it right.
Yes, ma'am. And what we
That's
and what
all
we
ask.
and what we
That's what it's here for.
that's part of what we talked about is it's not as simple as April 13th. Stop it. We're lower the rates on April 13th. Not gonna happen. It just is. It is a complex problem. We just spent 3 hours talking about how complex. Understand the impact. Absolutely understand the impact. But it is a complex problem that is not going to get solved just by having folks, which is why we're here, which is why we're talking about this.
Okay, but there's one thing that needs to be said. 4 men went behind the door and they
There's
decided
5.
for the rest of us, 5 men, for the rest of us, that our rates were gonna go up 45%. It
Two-
doesn't take a whole lot of common sense to know people can't
And-
afford a hit like that. We cannot. Why did they make the decision to begin with? That was a stupid decision from day one. From day one, it was.
Are these?
How do you
Yep.
decide that? How do you decide that? All of you people out here that voted us in are gonna go back here and we're gonna raise your bills up 45%. And we gotta take the deal or leave it.
Vote 'em out.
Vote, they're getting voted. That's gonna happen.
So
They can't, exactly, but we can't.
On our situation, if we put education as for
That's the
I have
problem.
no idea what leading age electric road is like.
And that's our fault.
It's our fault.
If we're not going and voting and making sure we put people in there, worth being there, it's our fault.
I'm gonna put it in quotes, but yes, education. So, I mean, I don't have exact numbers for you, but that's the kind of thing that the tips and tricks.
Yes.
If you go back and look at the comments, I think there was 1, maybe 2 people, and I'm talking about the city pages. The city page, 1 or 2 people said, "Hey, these are good. This is what you do. This is what you." Everybody else was like, "You got to be effing kidding me. I'm not doing any of these. These are stupid." No, we all know these things. So, like that gentleman, his HVAC, 580 kilowatts, 95% of it was that HVAC system. Whatever temperature he had it set at, demonstrably his HVAC system that was in there. So again, is that the city's fault for that high bill, or is that the structure using the amount of electricity? Now I know that falls on deaf ears. It's gaslighting. I can show you your usage, and if your usage now the cost is what it is. And I say the cost is what it is because it was voted on 2 years ago. But yes, if your 5,800 kilowatt bill costs you $100 more than it did last year, you still had a 5,800 kilowatt bill last year. That would be the first thing, me as a homeowner, that's the first thing I look at. Okay? And I can talk to you offline and compare mine. I mean, 5,800 kilowatts is 3 months for me.
And you're all electric.
Yes, ma'am. So,
See, that was my thing.
yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Us personally.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not, we bought a new house, it's a high efficient. All bills are consistent, and then all of a sudden we get a spike of $800. And I know really well my house wasn't full in that kind of use. I know it. We went through, shut stuff off. The next month, the bill came down a little bit, but it came down like $200.
So, sir,
Remain almost the same.
if your usage may remain the same, then your bill should have remained the same.
What I'm saying is, something's not lining up here. It's not used. It's not used.
So,
Something happens somewhere.
so that's what I'm saying. You want to sit down with me? I'm more than happy to walk through and look at your particular bill.
Angry about it.
But,
Actually, what you're
Well,
saying
write that
is
down.
not anger. It's
oh man, it's anger.
fear. We're scared. It's fear. We're all terrified. We're gonna have to sell our homes or lose our homes because you're gonna raise it 2 more times. We're hurting now.
Get with the commissioners, they can rescind it, next year, right?
Let's do it.
And we have time before August.
October.
Another question was, like on the contract, TRDA, I know a contract works both ways. We have things that we have to do according to the contract. They have things they have to do. So, I understand the inflation rise costs for them, for us. But there's got to be some kind of precedence in that where they can't just haul off and say, okay, PCA this month, $1,000. Can we not?
So they're allowed by the state to charge a PCA, and that PCA is it doesn't. So the value of that PCA absolutely does fluctuate that much. And I'll tell you, in the end of February, it's 2.7 cents, 2.75 cents. It's 2.6 or 2.4 now.
Where's the city's stance if they say, okay, this month we're gonna charge you X amount of money, and it's an exorbitant amount of money, does the city have the option to say, we're not gonna pay it?
No,
That's too high.
no. Now we're in breach of contract.
We negotiated that contract for you.
How much longer do we have on this contract?
2042.
140 years.
We've already been in it for
No, ma'am.
19 years, you said.
So it's a 35-year contract. 2042.
Are there, is there, I mean, like,
So you can't renegotiate the contract with GRDA?
Is the contract
We-
with GRDA that issued?
not so much, just.
Not so much.
It's really not.
No.
Is it
It's-
because we've raised our rates too high?
You're saying too high. I'm looking at the balance sheet and saying we are collecting revenue to pay for the services that we're providing.
Exactly, but our services are almost 80% more than what our revenue is. We're taking from this
Mhm.
part over here that we're getting from the
Yep.
electricity to pay all these non-services.
Yes, ma'am.
No cash in, so we have to find a balance. We have to.
I'm with you, man. But
Yeah.
again, which park doesn't get maintained? Which street doesn't get moved? It's services.
That's what I think we're looking at it wrong. Why are we looking at cut when we have so many options out there? Where are we getting from the airport? Are we getting anything
From the airport,
from the airport? Are
Man.
we getting it, are we cutting,
we're making a little bit of money off the airport.
are we?
Our sanitation balances off with the landfill.
Where we increase that's used by a lot of people, a lot of tax-paying people.
Sales tax is it.
That aren't these people that are just barely scraping by. I'm talking
Um,
about companies that
Yes,
are.
ma'am. No, I'm with. When you look at it, where do you? And that's the challenge. I'm going to say in Oklahoma, everybody else has the same challenge. Here, where does the revenue come from? How do you produce it without affecting your people. And that's really what we're talking about.
Affecting people that can afford to pay a little bit more versus people that cannot do it.
So
And sometimes that
so right. So okay. So we talked. So let's relate that to the senior rates.
Yes.
If Medicaid's not the right answer, what's the threshold? So when we include, because we're getting real close to socialism. Okay. So if this chunk is paying for this chunk, but this chunk isn't paying anything, but it could pay a little bit, how do we figure out where that sweet spot is?
Senior citizens go to the landfill to dump stuff versus how many of the companies that are working within our city to dump stuff.
So most of them have garbage cans. So our senior citizens actually only pay $10 a cart. You're paying 17. Anybody under 65 is paying $17 for a cart. That's the one thing we did do last year, was we were able to 65 and under pays $10. Ma'am, that's fraud. That's you are a good 40 years from needing that thing. Jeez. Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry. You had a question.
Well, speaking of the landfill, you have other companies that they're not citizens in Sallisaw.
Mhm.
That use that landfill.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I have a contract with every company that is not our sanitation. Everybody that brings garbage in there that is not Sallisaw sanitation pays. So I have LaFleur County. We have a number of different customers that bring us their community and residential garbage, and they pay for it. Absolutely, they pay for it. In fact, some of them cry about it, and some of them wanted to bring us more, but I told them no because the situation the landfill's in right now.
So, the PCA, what is it?
So that is a direct pass through from GRDA. That is a fuel cost. The cost of natural gas goes up and down. Since the storm, we were talking about it. It is so volatile. It used to be included in everybody's price. They'd hedge. Hey, we think it's going to cost this much for this year. Well, when natural gas started getting so volatile after Uri, they couldn't do that anymore. They were losing more than they were making, if that makes sense. So they pulled that out and charge us that separately now. GRDA charges the city separately. We pass that directly on plus a 10%. So if it's 2.7 cents, we charge you 2.9 cents. Where does that come from? That comes, the easiest analogy I can give you, we call it line loss. If you take a 100-degree pot of water, pour it into a hose, run that hose 20 feet that way, that water is going to come out about 90 degrees-ish, okay? Just stick with me. That's line loss. So the amount of electricity, if I have a megawatt of electricity that gets to my substation, I have 900,000 kilowatts to distribute because I lose electricity. Those bare grounded wires that we talked about, I lose electricity getting it to you. So we absolutely, that is a direct pass through. You can look at any of our bills. That is what GRDA charges us plus 10%.
Here's one thing I'm at. Because I've been watching the PCA.
Yes, sir.
And all that stuff. I have called down to the city here 4 times and got 4 different stories what PCA is. What I would love for you to do is to tell all your workers down there.
This is what the PCA is.
What it is.
Yes, sir.
I was told it was a storm in Texas. I was told it was you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's far reaching. Nobody's gonna believe that.
So was that recently you called down, or has that been? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Within
Because
the last 6 months, I've called 4 times, got 4 different stories.
okay, so storm in Texas. Now, the storm in Texas may screw with natural gas prices and increase or lower the PCA, but the PCA itself is not tied to any storm. It is a power cost adjustment based off the fluctuation in natural gas. Why natural gas? Because that's what GRDA uses to generate electricity.
Right. But I'm just saying, I think it would help if.
And a little bit of coal.
I ain't the only one call.
Yes, sir.
Several people I've talked to call, and they've even got other stories than what I've got. But I think that would help a lot, that if they knew what to tell people when they call, it would definitely communicate.
I can do that tomorrow morning.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Many people would get so upset because if you hear 4 different stories on the same thing, people get mad.
Understood. And fair. Yes, sir. Ma'am. Sir. Ladies. Gentlemen.
Shake your hand.
Oh, sorry.
I know we've been back and forth, but you know, it's just,
Understood.
I know you got
And you're in the ring.
a lot on your shoulders.
I don't envy your job.
Are you Marine?
No, I was.
What's your favorite flavor?
Flavor?
Yeah, what color is your favorite flavor?
Red.
Come on, there you go.
Hey, every Marine knows what the favorite flavor. What color is your favorite flavor? Is the color of the color of crayons that they eat. Marines.
I do appreciate.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think people will be a part of it.
Hmm?
There's a lot of people, I mean, that are more fortunate than some. And most of us grew up here, born and raised here, worked here.
So-
And we don't want to see this happen
Yes, ma'am.
to our,
So
to our neighbors.
so let's manage. So I'm a big expectation management guy. The older I get, the more life's about expectation management. And I'm still online, so people can watch this later. I'd like to start setting expectations as far as the budget and the budget creation is concerned. There's a timeline. There is a process that city staff, not me, it's just my second year, that have been involved in for a decade or more. Okay. The amount of time, and please don't take this wrong, I'm not talking down anybody, but the amount of time it's going to take to spin 70 people up on how we create a budget is not feasible with meeting timelines that we have. So you're not going to come out of this budget cycle being an expert in city budget. I'm not. I told my council members, my predecessor grew up in the city working on the finance side. It's going to take me more than a year to catch up, if I ever do, because I'm not an accountant. Good Lord, sweet Jesus, this makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
But looking at the budget, I can look at a budget and see that. Comparing the budget, they were beating me over the head yesterday. The audit is not the budget. The audit is not the budget. And I was sitting there trying to compare it, and it finally got to me. Okay, so just want to manage that expectation. 70, 80 people, you've heard, too many hands in the kitchen, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely answer questions. If I have to pull out and answer questions separately, because in a business meeting format, we're not going to get all our questions answered, I'll be more than happy to do that. But there's going to be a process. We've got a timeline. I've got 2 days with council to do this. There are limits. Yes, ma'am. No.
It is wonderful.
It has its limitations.
It has its limitations, but it does have a lot of pros with it.
It does.
And I think he mentioned it earlier, is we've always done it that way.
Nah, bull
But
crap.
we're gonna ask
Who said that?
one of the gentlemen that were talking about. basically
Fire them tomorrow.
this way for the last 2 No, one of the participants.
Oh, okay. We're like, that is, if you ask my employees, they come at me, that's the way we've always done it. That's the fastest way to start an argument. Oh, yeah. And that's, so my point there is it takes time. It's going to take me time to change that culture that they have arguably grown up in or have operated in for a decade. I'm fortunate to have department directors that have been here and have grown up in city government and have worked in some of these departments for decades. So I'm fortunate to have those guys, but changing the culture from, I didn't even ask for it last year because I knew I wasn't going to get it. Well, dude, if you want it next year, you should have asked for it last year because now I'm going to bust your personality because here I'm trying to sit out. And my one of the things we did differently with the council last year was I took all of those things that we talked about them wanting, their laundry list, because electric projects, deferred maintenance, all that stuff has to get done. And I put it on a 10-year timeline. Well, when you come out of the blue and say, hey, I need this next year, come on, man, you're killing me. It's not, I don't have that program. You just completely threw off the process. It also, here's what happened to us last year. We had this great plan, and I didn't get this when everybody was sitting here, so I apologize. Had a great plan. Here's the cut line. Dadgummit, a month into the cycle, a month into the budget year, I had a $600,000 piece of equipment fail, had to be purchased. Now I got on that director. Hey, dude, when you get up and brief, it's not just a, hey, yeah, we need this. It's a, hey, the one I've got's a month from dying. And that changes the whole risk. That changes how you brief. And again, that's part of the culture change. Hey, man, you need to be a little more into that. I bust on a police officer about body armor. I can't pay 23 sets or replace 23 sets of body armor a year. We got to do 2 a year. We got to do 3 a year. Okay. So don't come at me with, hey, we need 20 sets of body armor this year. No, we're not. let's cycle it. So there's things that we're doing that hopefully will save us money. There's also a concept of this year's money versus next year's money that that body armor vest that costs $1,000 this year is going to cost $1,010 next year. Is going to cost. So if you come at me with 20, dude, it may be cheaper this year to buy 20, but in 10 years, when those things hit their expiration date, right, guys, 10 years, 5 years, my bad. Well, yeah. So the Army says, oh, the manufacturer says 5 years, but if it still works, you can keep wearing it. So I was like, that crap doesn't work in the civilian world. So in 5 years, you come at me with 20 more. That 20 is going to cost a lot of money. Whereas if I'd spent a little bit of money every year on them, I wouldn't be spending that much then. Okay. So.
Maybe on one thing, you know, if you cut one brother for pay a little bit,
So let me direct you to the FOP.
When he was talking about calling down to the city, and I know that there's new people that come on and they're just not as educated, but permits is another thing. So we're getting ready to put a safe room in the garage, and we call down and we're like, do we need a permit for this? No, is it gonna be freestanding? Well, it's not, it's gonna be freestanding, but it's gonna be bolted. And so it's like, no, you don't need a permit. And so then my husband was like, are you sure we don't need a permit? And he said, I really want to do this right. I don't want to get surprised with someone, pulling up and saying the bill. And he did. He said, let me check with someone. I'll get right back with you. And he did. But we needed a permit.
Okay. Well, and you're absolutely right. I'm not going to try to make excuses. Everybody knows there's different ways to put in safe rooms and different permit levels and different inspections and all that stuff. If you're putting a permit in, if you're putting a safe room in and it's structural to the house now, okay, there's issues. Instead of a freestanding, one of those little circle things that you can get at Lowe's, just chuck it in the driveway and pray, But yeah, there's different levels, and you're absolutely right. It's somebody that, hey, that's their first day or that's their first time. So honestly, permits for safe rooms, that's not something everybody deals with every day. So they could be there for 3 or 4 months and not have that question. So another 2 or 3 years, that person. Yes, ma'am. So hey, if nobody's got any more comments here, does anybody want to look at their bills? Want to look at their apartment? Okay. Yeah, I need to get your address so I can come down and take a look at that tomorrow. Okay. Ma'am?
My biggest concerns, we own homes here.
Mhm.
And if everything if it's gonna be so outpriced, we're not gonna get people in. We're not gonna get businesses in, because the lower the population, the less it's gonna be here. The more that's gonna leave, it's gonna just depreciate all of our value of our homes. And that's one of our biggest concerns, is the value of our homes.
Yes, ma'am. So this is Brian Heverly only. Our utility rates are higher than they were last year, absolutely. And we talked about it before y'all got here. We are still one of the lowest. We're one of the lowest states in the nation. We are one of the lower areas. Study just came out. Average price is 17.6 cents a kilowatt. We're at 11. Mm-hmm. 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 So the mayor, you missed it. The mayor said he just compared his bill that he got this month with 4 of his cooks and buddies. His was the cheapest this month. So what I'd ask, and that was really my intent with showing those 3 scenarios, is rates are one thing. When you talk percentages, that gets everybody excited, 45%, but you're not experiencing a 45% increase in your bill unless you use 100% more electricity. So when you talk percentages and dollar amounts, that you're going to pay more if you use more. The more you use, the more you're going to pay. The difference will be more if you use more versus somebody who uses less. And that's the nature of rates. That's the nature of usage. Talked about it, didn't come out very clearly, but that's, so if my home uses, this is something that we didn't talk about. My house, I had a bill of $310, and that was total utility. That wasn't just electricity. I'm sorry, that was just electricity. $310 in September. I used 1,480 kilowatts. In January, after the rate increase, it was 332 kilowatts, $332, and I used $1,395. My bill went up $22. It's only 7%. When the rate increases were 8, we heard them tonight. Now in February, I used 1,758 kilowatts. I almost killed everybody in my house. I didn't. It's a 26% increase in usage, but the price that I paid only went up 14.5%. So that was one of the things I want to talk to y'all about and hit home and drive home again is percentage doesn't necessarily equal dollar amount. So where am I going with that? As we look at rates increasing, one of the things Marley Abel, the new mayor, mayor-elect, whatever we want to call him, said is you look around and it's not, doesn't make it right. Let me put it that way. And I personally don't like comparing ourselves to everybody else, compare ourselves to ourselves. But when you look around, everybody's going through this. Cookson Hill's got another rate increase coming up in a couple months. Ours isn't until October. We talked about the difference in PCA. We talked about how they figure their PCA differently. Ogini figures their PCA a little differently than we do. They actually call it a fuel cost. Their amount, their dollar amount is different than our dollar amount. It just some of Cookson's PCA, because theirs is less than ours. Just ask them. Theirs is less than ours, but their base rate and or their kilowatts per hour increased, and that kind of absorbs some of that PCA. And every company does it differently. Every co-op does it a little differently. We do it a little differently. We do it the way we do it. Gentlemen's talked about the CPBA and the PCAX and the CPB and all that stuff that the city did there since 21. And now it's a straight pass through plus 10%. That's it. And I can, if you, holy crap, the PCA is 3 cents. I will show you what GRDHO charged us. And it's what they charge us plus 10%.
So is there a possibility that GRDA would decrease some of that?
So they'll decrease that as fuel costs go down. They'll increase it as fuel costs go up. So, and that's just, if you look at the history of the PCA, on that chart, it was 3 cents per kilowatt 2 years ago, and now it's down to 2.6. Gas went up. Yeah. Okay. Ma'am, sir, I need to get your address or the address of where I'm looking tomorrow. Anybody else want to sit down and look at their bill? Want to look at history? Tim, I'm not looking at yours. No. Okay.
No, I just want to thank you for
Oh,
being as transparent.
yes, ma'am.
as
I don't have anything to hide.
Well, that's good, because when I first saw the post on Facebook, I was very concerned, because it almost felt like the city was not being transparent, and that made me question if I could trust that.
Yes, ma'am.
But I also saw a lot of things online that weren't true. You know, city officials making 100,000 plus upwards a year.
Ma'am,
So,
our city define city official. There's a lot of and now all of those budgets and all of those positions are online. They're open
Right,
record, and what I've told, and everybody knows, everything we do is open records. If you've got a question about it, call me. I'll be more than happy to tell you, or I'll say, hey, this is kind of squirrely, not squirrely. I need to protect some people's information. Go ahead and do an open records request, and we'll give it to you.
exactly, and
Unless it's
that's
got-
my bad for believing that.
You're
but
fine,
with you
ma'am.
Standing up here and saying, sit with me.
Yeah.
That's complete transparency. That's respect, and thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Sir, ma'am. Hey, let me